I've just found that people are the unlock for me personally, but you got to spend time developing them.
For sure, man. I tell my crew, like, high tides rise all ships, and it's like the only way that we're going to get better is if we get better, and it's like there's only 3 of us there, man. It's just me, Tyrell, and Andrew.
Jay Banks.
Yeah.
The Native Brand, but also it seems like this thing's like Native Brands almost now, right?
You know what? I was thinking about that too, man. I still go back to that that Facebook movie when Justin Timberlake was like, instead of the Facebook, it was just Facebook, and it was like that's when everything changed. And it's like, yeah, man, I'm thinking, I might need to drop that the at some point. Yeah.
It's funny every time we're here in Northern Kentucky, but Cincinnati. But people call the Ohio State University.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what are y'all trying to do?
Right.
Like, you're the most important? Is that what y'all are? You're like the one?
Yeah, they try to trademark it too, man. They really get after you if you use, like, the Ohio State, like, on clothing.
Can't mess with it.
No.
That's interesting to me, what I want to learn today. I have no idea about the apparel space, about really what you're doing from a brand perspective.
Right.
We're just sitting here running a service business. We're real estate agents selling homes. That's the business part of it behind the scenes. But it's interesting, that piece, because trademark is just fascinating to me.
Oh, yeah.
And how that happened. I know there was the P&G relationship, and they helped you do some of that stuff.
For sure.
So way back in the day, so I personally, selfishly want to know who Jay is.
All right.
Where you come from, what's the story, how'd you get here?
Yeah, man, it's pretty interesting, actually, because, like, I grew up in Chicago, so the clothing store down in Newport has, like, a very, like, urban feel to it. It's black walls, which is funny because they, when we first had the store, when the Levee gave us, the grant to do the build-out, the professional painters were like, we wanted black from floor to ceiling. And he was like, oh, that's a terrible idea, man. And he actually didn't even do it. He needed to get a second approval from the Levee. So next day we come in and it was black from floor to ceiling. But it was just one of those, I grew up in Chicago and my dad was a printer. Ironically, he printed like the Sports Illustrated magazine. So I was like, the 10-year-old kid going to school with the Kathy Ireland Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, like 2 months before it came out.
That's so dirty.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. The teachers would take it away, and I'm like, no, you can't have that. Like, I'll get in trouble if anyone else takes it. You know what I mean? But and then my mom did like Adobe Illustrator before Adobe Illustrator was a thing. So I remember her sitting there. And, if she was making an advertisement, she would have to take a photo of a cup of coffee and, cut it out and then, type out everything on the computer, then, shrink it down and then put it on to one 8.5 by 11 sheet and then put it back in the computer as like a full sheet. You know what I mean? So, excuse me. So ironically, like, I feel like I've taken both of what they've done and kind of put it together and created this Native Brand thing, man, which is pretty cool.
So how in the heck did you find your way to – so how do you tell people – it seems like you're broadening your reach more every day, right,
sure.
with your brand and people you're getting to know. How do you explain the locale geographically where we're at? You tell me how you do this.
You know what, man? I started out of the backpack on Fountain Square, and what I was doing was I had a bunch of friends that were bartenders, and so I had them wearing the hats, and then these were my business cards. I don't have any left, man. These are just the last 2 that are hanging on, but I would give these to the bartenders, and so, instead of them having to stop a conversation when they say, hey, I like your hat, they can just pull this off and give it to them. And on the inside, there was a little hidden code. It said, like, X marks the spot, 10% off if you use that code on the website. So, it was really just like, a bootstrap thing for a while, man. Just really, I was always out, on the streets with the backpack, selling them right out of my bag. I'd pop in. If there was a busy night down there at the Levee on Monday nights when they did that service industry night, I would pop down there for a half hour, 45 minutes, go walk around, see if anybody want anything, and then I'd go back home.
So where are we from? Tell me this. When you meet somebody from out of town, where the heck do we live? Do we live in Cincinnati? Do we live in northern Kentucky? Do we live in Kentucky? Where the heck do we live?
You know what? I say Cincinnati just because geographically it makes sense, but I love repping Kentucky, man.
Me too, dude. I struggle with this all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Don't you say, well, you might say Newport, Kentucky, but then where's it go from there? Right across the river from Cincinnati.
Right.
And they're like, oh, okay, man. They act like they know, but they don't know. But there's so many places in this country that, like, take Minneapolis, St. Paul, take St. Louis. There's these cities that it runs through, but there's not just one side that dominates, and that's what's so tough. Like in Minnesota, it's one state, Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Right.
Now St. Louis is Missouri and Kansas, so it's really tough. But you don't say, hey, I'm from St. Louis, Kansas.
Right.
Or I'm from St. Louis, or maybe, sorry, I messed that up, Missouri and Illinois. Yeah, I was thinking about Kansas City. And so you don't then say the state. It's such a struggle because I feel this northern Kentucky thing, there's something special about it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we have our own little bubble, like right inside the city. It's almost just like an extension of downtown, but you still got those, Kentucky roots where just a couple miles down the road, they've got a farmer with some cattle.
I'm like an anarchist, man, a little bit. I might not look like it.
Yeah,
but it's in my blood.
That's awesome, man.
I think because we're just the South Side, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure, just just the low Cincinnati South, right?
Yeah. So this idea, I'm looking at your hat. We talked a little bit before we came on.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's an OG hat. It's got some floral arrangement on the bill.
For sure.
Is that one of the first?
No, probably not. But it's probably a good 6-7 years old. Yeah.
Why'd you wear that one today?
Match the fit, man. This flannel's new, so this is something that we just put in the store last week. We just print them. We print everything in house. So we've got a DTG printer right there, which is nice. That's it's called direct to garment. So instead of a silk screen where they're going to tell you to do 3 or 4 colors, this DTG printer can do 16 million, which is awesome. So like for instance, with the trademark things we were talking about. Dinsmore helped me trademark the word native and then all area codes and apparel. So from there, we can use this this logo here and then just go synonymously across the board with different area codes.
So where'd that area code thing come from? I mean, 859's ours.
Yeah.
513's Cincy. I'm sure that was the first two.
For sure.
Right? So what's the idea behind that combined with this native brand?
Being a native of where you're from. You know what I mean? So when I started this in like 2014, the word native had like almost like, like a stigma to it. Like, it was for Native Americans. And it was like, the definition was like, a native of where you're from. And then the IE was, I'm a native of Montreal, Canada. So that was like, all right. So when I started going with it, I started with an Ohio logo that said native. It was like embossed in the actual like silhouette of the state of Ohio. And right away, being right here in Kentucky, right here on the border, I had friends that wanted a Kentucky version. But I highlighted that natty inside native because of Cincinnati. That just meant too much to me. So I didn't want to stretch that logo out. Even Emilio Estevez at the time was a fan of the brand, and he wanted me to do a California version, but it just didn't make sense to me. So that's when I created the Arch logo that I can just go across the board. And that was the thing. I wanted a hat that you can have in LA or you can have in Chicago, and it almost looks identical, but there's just something different about it. And it's, it's like a Corvette wave or a Jeep wave. It just has this weird thing to it where when you're wearing it, if people see it, they're like, what's 513? And it's like, it's Cincinnati's area code. And they're like, oh shit, of course, sorry.
No, I love it. Hey, this happens in every podcast. Somebody drops a bomb.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just opened up the waves, babe. Here we go, because I'm going to come. Everybody that knows me, I think I got lectured last week. The guy's like, hey, man, I love everything about you. But he's somewhat connected to the real estate business, so he's been in a sales meeting of mine.
Right,
and
right.
I can become animated.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, the only thing, you got to stop dropping the F-bomb, man. There's no defense, dude. It's like, this is me. This is who I am.
It happens, man, especially because this is just a conversation that we're having. So it just gets used to it.
It happens in all my conversations. They're laughing behind the scenes. It happens in all my conversations.
Yeah, this is my blind side, man. I can't see these guys at all over here.
So I know it probably gets old talking about the blind side. Does it?
You know what, man? It's a part of me, and it's definitely I've embraced it. You know, it's still like my eye's still in there, but the lights are out on that side of the house. I went to go get the eye taken out, and they were doing a bunch of tests on it, and I had like a quick flash of light, but it looked like something from a horror movie, like maybe like a car deep underwater, like with its headlights. It was almost like just a shock of lightning. And the doctor was like, hey, like, you know, it's still active in there. So he's like, if you can just wait, you know, a year or two with the pain, we might, like, they're doing some like some type of regenerative bacteria or something that's regenerating the eye. So I'm just hanging on to it just as long as I can, man, because, you know, even playing with the puppy, you know, playing with the dog, it's like, you know, one scratch to the face and, you know, lights are out, man. I can't do any more design work, you know.
None of that stuff.
No.
Boy, that's a lot of hope. Hanging on to an eye because maybe one day.
Yeah. You know what, though? If I did write a letter to GoPro, and I said, hey, just give me a ballpark figure. Like, you know, what would it cost to get a GoPro put inside an eye? Like, I want to call it the iBorg, and if it's 250 grand, like I'll raise the money for it, because this is going to be a reality show that would be too good not to watch.
Did they respond?
No.
You really sent the letter?
Sure did.
No,
yeah.
Did you follow up email? Just one letter?
Just one letter.
You're more resilient than that.
Well, the wife is like, you are not going to do that, and I'm like, look, babe, like, lights, you know, cameras off. As soon as I put the eye patch on, like, nobody can watch it. But it'd be like Ed TV. It'd be like the Truman Show. You know what I mean?
Give us some, if you don't mind, a little bit of context behind the eye. The story's out there, right, about what happened, because then I want to have some conversation on the comeback as well.
For sure.
Right. So tell us the story.
So I met a female at a bar, and we were on the way back to the house, and she assaulted me in the car. I think I was set up because she had two guys there that they had robbed my house as well. So I had I'm a big sneakerhead. I've like growing up in Chicago, I've had the ones all the way through the 13s, stopped at the 14s. But so I was pulling, I only lived like a mile and a half from the bar that we were at, and I was on the way back there. So she attacked me in my car. I tried to get her out of the car. She at first she had this like big pearl ring on, so when she like tried hitting me, the ring actually hit my eye, not the bone or anything around it, so it detached the retina right away. So but I had so I reached over and I grabbed the door handle to get her out of the car. She bit my hand. I've got like a scar where my like the back of my hand is, and then when I pulled around, she bit my thumb, and I've got scars on that. And then I pulled, like, I tried pulling my thumb out of her mouth, and she bit onto my ear. And as I pulled away, she ripped my ear off. It was definitely like a fight or flight moment. You know what I mean? And it was like, so I was so terrified. I opened the door, hopped out of the car, grabbed my ear out of the driver's seat, and she had two guys there. So I called 911, and they grabbed the keys out of my car. So now they've got keys to my house as well. So when the ambulance came, they all took off, and his car that was there. And then I told the police, hey, keep an eye on my house. I live right across the street from the police station as well, so I thought it would be somewhat safe. But they went in there and they stole $27,000 worth of shoes, jewelry, and a little stash of money I had.
So what are the lessons from that moment? How often do you relive it? Do you relive that day outside of us talking about this?
No, not other than telling the story. Yeah, I just most of the time, you know, when I have the store, it's kids that come in now. So it's more of like a pirate theme than like a horror story.
So what happens then? I'm personally fascinated by adversity in life, and then the resilience that people show.
For sure.
The story that comes out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So this isn't the final outcome of the story sitting here today.
No, I'm still in the minors, man. I'm ready
Right?
to get called up to the majors for sure.
So what happens then? So what is this, 2016-ish when that happens?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then explain how you go from 2016, that terrible night happening, to right now.
It was, you know what? It's an interesting story because I was working at Scott's Lawn Service as well as doing the Native Brand. So I was outside in the sun all day. I went from that to not being able to even walk my dog in the daytime because just the light would just it would give me an instant headache. The eye would start dripping, and it got to the point where my right eye was like sensitive to light because I had to put blackout curtains on the windows, and it put me into this really depressive state, right? Like, I put myself in there because I had to have a dark room, dark house. And whenever I did go out, I felt like people, they were just looking at my ear, looking at my eye, because at the time my eye was just completely white. It had like this oil that they put in there, which it looked really cool. Like if I laid back, it would all form and my whole eye would turn white. But if I was just standing there, it looked like a layer of water, like white water in my eye. But I felt like people like stopped listening to me. So I got really depressed and I almost committed suicide. And I had one of my best friends, he was living in New York City. He was like, bro, you got to snap out of this. Like this whole woe me thing. He's like, it's not good for your soul. And he's like, and honestly, no one gives a shit, dude. He's like, you can't get mad. You got to get better. And when he said that, like, shout out to Nick Ellis, man. That was the fight or flight moment for me. Like I didn't, take it as a negative when he said that. Like I took it, I was like, you know what, you're right, dude. I got to get better. So I was stuck in the house anyways. So that's when I went to YouTube University and I started teaching myself Adobe. I think I got Adobe off of like the Pirate Bay at the time for free with, I still have it on my computer to this day, but if there's like certain buttons I press on it, the whole thing collapses and I lose all my data for that day. But I taught myself everything, and then that photo of the Mad Scientist that I use, that was one of those moments where like that was the most depressing point of my life, but that was a turning point. And so, once I started getting better, I taught myself everything, so I wasn't dependent on having somebody that does my website living in Miami, and then every time I want to upload something, I got to call him. So I taught myself how to build the website, taught myself how to design the clothes, and then I grabbed a sublimation machine, which is fairly inexpensive, and then taught myself the best ways to use it. Sublimation's great, but it doesn't print white. Which it is, you don't realize how important white ink is until you don't have it. So, but I started turning everything into like a vintage theme. I found this perfect 65-35 blend, so it would take 65% of the sublimation color. And then I would just kind of fade the logo a little bit, but and I was using great quality too. At the time, Bella Canvas was just rocking these incredible soft sweatshirts. And so what I was doing was I was putting, an extra $3 or $4 on my side, instead of, selling the Gildan shirt, the Gildan hoodie, which, people still would have bought, right? They still would have bought something from me to support your friend, but it would have gone in the drawer and not worn again. But since I spent the extra $3 to $4 on my side, it turns into the shirt that they wear every time that they're home watching movies. You know what I mean? So
it's, man, I don't know why I'm such a homer for a great quality material.
Oh yeah,
I just am, man. It's like
all the difference.
Yeah, when we buy, we don't go out. We're not building necessarily a brand for us to sell apparel outside. We have our swag shop down on another floor for our real estate company, and it took me forever to start buying gear because everywhere I would go, these big companies are trying to sell us stuff, or the local printer, hey, stop up at this warehouse. And I'm like, I can't buy this stuff, man.
Yeah.
I want to put something out that I want to wear.
For sure.
And it's about that feel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. And I don't know how quality lines up with that. You probably know more than I would about the quality piece, because I'm sure something that can feel really good and be comfortable might also lack some quality at times.
Yeah, it's all hit or miss, man. The one thing that I'm finding the most struggle with is finding a full run of sizes. When it comes to like an LA brand that I like, trying to order clothes from them, I'll hop on there and it's like they're out of larges. And it's like, all right, well, I can buy the small, medium, and they've got it all the way up to 6XL, which is nice. And their quality's great. It seems like the streetwear is definitely coming back, like the heavier sweatshirts or the heavier T-shirts, the drop shoulder tees, that European American apparel style T-shirts are kind of fading away right now. So
so go back to when you had this moment. Hearing about your friend, I could sit here and have an hour conversation about that timing. When that dude knows, how long have you guys been friends, you and Nick, when that happens? 2016, you've been friends for how
long? Since he moved from Florida. So I think I was maybe a sophomore in high school.
All right. So you're talking 8 years, 6 to 8 years, 10 years? I don't know
like 15 years probably, yeah.
Did he know when he's like, dude, no one cares? Do you think he knew that would help you wake up, or he was just tired of listening to it?
No, he knows me. Yeah, I think because it's not like I was going around like posting it on Facebook and being miserable, right? I was just like soaking in my own sorrow, and it's one of your best friends, man. It's like one of those. He's a brother to me, so he knew that tough love is the best love.
For some people, right?
For some people.
That's what's interesting about this human experience I have, that he did something for you that day.
Oh, yeah. Forever grateful.
He flipped a switch. But what's so fascinating is, because I think inherently there's some really bad humans, but most of us are pretty decent people, right? That's my opinion. I think that we always have good intentions in moments like that. When people are struggling, they're going through bad times.
For sure.
But I find myself so often I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Right? And to know exactly what to say, you have to be really plugged into that person.
Right.
And because if that's said, maybe the wrong day, maybe the wrong time to the wrong person, because I am that tough.
Push them over the edge.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep. Because I'm that tough love guy too.
Yeah.
I'm a suck it up. Ain't nobody coming to save you, man.
Right.
Right? But that he did that for you that day, that's special. And I don't know if everybody's got somebody like that in their life. I don't know.
Hey, you know what? And you're probably right, man. I'm super thankful to have somebody like that really would just give it to me straight, instead of coddling you and just telling you like everything's gonna be okay. You got this.
Yeah.
It was a wake up call for sure, but it definitely, like you said, it flipped a switch, and it was like I was like Yosemite Sam from there on out, man. All my 6-shooters just shooting away,
powering away. So, you said you're in the minors right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you've been at this game for, pretty much 8-9 years strong.
For sure.
Right? And probably, when did it really, when it happened with your eye, when you were attacked, when did he have that conversation with you? Was it that year? Was it 16 or was it going into 17?
Yeah, it was probably around 2017, 2018.
All right, so you're 6 years into this. You're in the minors.
Mm-hmm.
What are the majors going to look like?
So we've got a couple plans, man. First of all, the shout out to Newport on the Levee. They really gave me the rope to either run with it or hang myself. They gave me a 4-week pop-up shop in 2019. Santa Claus was in town. They just gutted all the stores inside the gallery because they were just about to do renovations, and then they got this Santa Claus deal. So they called me. I had a store just a mile and a half down the road, and they said, hey, do you want to do a pop-up shop? And it's like, yeah, of course, that'd be awesome. So I brought everything down, but my mindset was like, don't make it look like a pop-up shop, make it look like a clothing store and blow them out of the water, right? So I moved everything in. I moved the podcast in. I moved. I've got my my old water heater. When I had to get it swapped out, the guy's like, "I can take this for you." I'm like, "No, I want to keep it." And I designed it into a 6-foot graffiti can. So this thing weighs like 400 pounds, but I strapped it on the back of my buddy's Jeep, and we brought it down just for that 4-week stint. And I just wanted to blow them out of the water. So they loved it, and they gave me a store outside on a 24-hour lease. So if I messed up, or if anybody wanted to come in and rent that place, I had 24 hours to get all my stuff out. But I moved everything in, and I didn't like the way the store was. It was really big. It was a 4,000 square foot store, and over half of it was backstock. So there was like an employees only door there. So I had this idea of buying an old broke down 7-Up machine, ripping the front of the door off, and then turning it into like a sliding hidden room for like the Mad Scientist clothes. So the Native brand has always been, on the forefront. That's what I started, out of my backpack. But once I had this, the injury to the eye, it really just turned me into this, this mad scientist, where I started, teaching myself like all the design work, and then getting really good at it. So I built that 7-Up door myself, and then rolled out the whole room in white. So once a month, I was in there rolling out the floor, repainting it, and then going in. And I need to get a Sharpie sponsorship, man. I've spent like $200-300 in Sharpies. I've got like probably 60 to 70 Sharpies just behind the counter right now. Every different size, every different flavor that they've ever come out with. And they work, bro. Like the generic ones, they would have a hint of blue on the wall, and it's like I needed everything to be perfect. So those Sharpies were like super black. So I went in on all the edges of the lab, we call it, and made it look two-dimensional. Everyone says it looks like the Take On Me music video. But it's very cartoon style. Like the chairs look fake, where it's like, can I sit in this, or is it just cardboard and going to fall apart? But so that was the original store there, with the 24-hour release. And, I did all the work myself. So that white room would get dirty super quick. So we would always have to paint it. And then the Levee said, okay, we see what you're doing, and we love it. We're going to give you a build out inside. So we agreed on a 2,000 square feet would be perfect. Gives us about 450 square feet for the lab. A very small back room, because we print everything in house, so we don't need a bunch of backstock. Yeah. So we got another podcast stage in the back as well, and a green screen in the little back room. But so once we built that out, we opened in June of 2021 there, and it's just been swimming uphill ever since, man.
So it sounds like a laboratory to me.
It is, man. It is, because there's clues all over the walls. So when you walk in, we don't tell you that there's a second part to the store. So, right when you walk in, it says, "Can you find the lab?" And then on a black barrel, it says X marks the spot. And then there's graffiti all over the walls, and it's all lit up with black lights. But hidden in the graffiti is like 7-Up, make 7-Up yours. Can you find the lab? There's like a little hidden "Where's Waldo?" He's got a little thought bubble that says, go press the RC Cola button. But once you walk over to the 7-Up machine, you step on the grass, and it actually pops open and reveals that whole white room. So, and the Levee did a great job of building it out too, man. There's a big X in the ceiling, so wherever you look in the white floor, there's like a white X in the floor. So it's definitely, we were calling it like interactive retail. I've never heard of that before, and we really want to up the game this year on doing the like augmented reality. So you'll be able to pull your phone out and scan our podcast, and you'll see me sitting in my chair, Andrew sitting in his chair, and then the Chat GPT guy that
we all know now.
Yeah. So he's we're gonna be able to like scan that, and you'll be able to listen about the augmented reality.
That's awesome, man. So, what's your dreams? What's your big dream for Native?
So the big dream is to get it into lids. So I know, man. I did some research on you guys. I watched a couple podcasts, and I was like, oh, light bulb. All right, I see what's happening here.
The founder was here.
I know. Yeah, I watched the podcast, man. I was super impressed, man. And that's something that, I one of their employees actually came into the old store, and he asked me, he's like, "Have you ever pitched this to Lids?" And I told him, I was like, "No." Like I think I literally even did the 6-shooter thing, like the Yosemite Sam. And he was like, "Man, we'd eat this up. Like I think he said there was a section behind the counters where they do like local stuff." But I've got it all set up. We've got like 197 different area codes that we do. It's all just color based. So like with the GTG printer, which is nice. Like if we're doing a Miami Dolphins style native shirt, it's teal and orange, obviously, right? But there's like a hint of gray in there, so we're able to dial down on the CMYK, where when it prints out, you're like, holy cow, that's definitely a Miami Dolphins native shirt.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. The Glenn's supposed to be coming back here, man. That's a fascinating story. Isn't it weird how lives come together and you end up in rooms?
Oh, yeah.
Those are cool guys, man. Their story is probably not too different. It's a guy named Scott and Glenn. They actually started Hat World.
Oh, wow, dude.
And the Lids boys were going bankrupt.
Okay.
And Lids was 3 times the size of Hat World,
and
the Hat World boys bought them. That's not often that happens.
Right.
That the small guy takes the big guy. And I was right there in the midst of it, man. That's where I developed my retail chops. I don't have them anymore. I've been in real estate for 18 years, but from 19 to 25, I was working hat stores around this country.
Was Hat World in Florence Mall?
That's it, man.
Yeah, it was right there by the food court.
I worked in that one, man, as a part-timer going to Northern. That store, take a wild guess. So that store was 340 square feet.
Oh, it was fire, dude.
Remember all that glass into the food court?
The glass wall right at the food court?
I'm allowed to say it now because there's no – take a guess at the volume we did in that thing over 12 months. It was 330 square feet. I don't want to make it sound too crazy, but most people – it's
400 grand?
550.
No shit.
550.
And that was like that. I mean, that store was so small, but it was like it was set up perfectly, man. Like, you can see it from the food court, so you got to go around the other side. Don't have to worry about theft or people are running through there.
We had the smallest little back stock, man. You're talking about you having a small stock room. It was a closet. We had to have inventory every morning.
I bet.
Every morning, boxes in the warehouse was in Indianapolis. So that was man. What's special about that is. That's where I cut even my chops about building relationships with people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They'd cross that lease line, and you were mine.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were going to buy anything, but I was going to find out about you.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And so, hats were special to me, man. I had them. There's boxes of them somewhere still.
That's awesome.
And so I was that normal kid that was a sports fan, but it was just cool, man. What I learned about people working those, whether it be airport stores, whether it is traditional malls, whether it's outdoor centers, I just developed this basic understanding of talking to people, right? And then that's unlocked my life knowing that.
For sure.
And it doesn't matter where you came from, what you can do, but I think as the native brand, and you talk about this dream and getting it into Lids, I'm sure Glenn and Scott can hook you up with the right people, man. They still know. They were bought out. They aren't even in the business anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yep, they don't even work there.
Good for them.
So the company, they were bought out by Genesco, who owned like Journeys and Buckle.
Okay.
I think Buckle. And then it changed, man. That's when I left.
Yeah.
It changed. It's so what I try to tell people is what I'm feeling building my company and then building yours. I go back and talk to founders.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask them off mic a lot. Every once in a while it's here. If you had to go back and do it over again, would you sell the brand? And usually they say no.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? What's your thoughts about that? Somebody comes and writes you this check. In 10 years, you build Native to be worth millions, whatever millions is.
Right.
What do you do, Jay?
You know what, man? It's the way that I'm structuring everything is we've got a lot of irons in the fire. So the native brand's one thing. The podcast obviously is something else that we're doing that I love. The Mad Scientist thing, that's my passion project, man. That's where the real like art like comes out of my mind. So if somebody comes in and does want to buy native at a certain point, I'm not opposed to it. Because I really think the longevity for native, if like I'm here in Cincinnati right now, right? But if like the way that I built this store and built this brand, it could be synonymous across the board, which is something that was like it was in the thought process from the very beginning. Like everything I've done has been very strategic. Even the box logo that I did, I made sure that it was, exactly twice the width is the height, so it'd be easy to do bumper stickers and to print stickers, and it would look identical, right? But the logo that I actually have one on my phone. This guy Robbie C, he's an amazing graphic designer. He just did something simple for me. It was this logo here, and then the numbers they flip. And it just says, "Where are you a native of?" underneath it, and it just drops on like 6 or 7 different area codes. But where I'm going with this is if there was a hat store in Denver or a native store in Denver, it would say native number 303, "Where are you a native of?" And it would look like that brand is right from that city, right? And most brands don't do that. You've got like Young and Reckless, like those guys, they'll do the Tokyo, they'll do the LA, they'll do the New York, but they'll never hit Covington, Louisiana. You know what I mean? And that's something where like this hat brand, we can, as long as you got a high school, like and a telephone, we can hit the 765, which is Covington, Louisiana's area code, and we can hit your high school colors and make it feel like it's made right there.
When I was beforehand, I always have a few things. It's like, hey, what's the foundation of the conversation of the podcast going to be? Because I'll talk to people for hours, but
for sure.
But I'm like, and I was driving in. I had some other appointments this morning, and I was driving in the studio, and I was like, this thing's got legs. It has. You've been doing it for a long time, but I'm putting myself in that consumer seat. Everyone likes where they're from,
for sure. Dude, it's so strange. People don't change their area codes on their cell phones when they move.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like there's something to it. It's like I said, the Corvette wave. There's something. I've done a lot of designs and I've done a lot of logos in my lifetime, and this is the one that's just clean and simple, and it relates to everybody. Like the women in Napa Valley. To even the gangsters in Chicago. Like I've got across the entire board. I've got
it works for them.
Yeah, it's
just
wild.
Change
man.
up a little thing with it or something, right? Or whether it's a color, it works.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So your dad being a printer and your mom working on like before Adobe was Adobe.
Yeah.
How much did you become Jay in how you think in that creative part? Was that from being around them for so long, or do you think that would have? It's just some happenstance that you were their kid?
Man, they've let me be as creative as I wanted when I was a kid. I built my dog a really terrible dog house when I was like 8 years old. And
what'd you make it out of?
It was out of wood. Yeah, it was out of real wood. My dad brought me some wood in, but made me cut it up, and yeah, the whole thing was just at an angle, bro. But it was cute, man. And it was like my bedroom when I was probably around the same age, I had a string that was tied to the doorknob that went up to an eyelet, and then it came back down, and I had this little baseball, like I was that young where it was like 2 baseball bats, and then it can hold 2 balls in the middle. The string went under the 2 balls. It went around the room, and then I had it connected to my light that was back over here, and it was on one of those little pull strings. So it was like as soon as somebody opened the door, it would turn my light on so I wouldn't have to do it myself. You know what I mean? Like I've always been like that weird creative person, but just being able to really just put it out there. And like I said, the Levee, man, like when I wanted to put the podcast stage in the front window, like they were like, go for it, dude.
That's awesome, because that's not
normal.
That
is awesome. It is so awesome, because Kenwood Mall, man, they threatened to pull my lease just for having these microphones sitting in the window. It was 2 microphones, and it was our ticker, which is like, our follower count, with a little QR code, and Kenwood was like, "I'll get it out now." Like, "Are you guys broadcasting out of here?" We're like, "Not yet." Like,
we're coming though, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. How long do you still have a store there?
No, that was just a pop-up shop for Christmas time. They didn't let us do too much work to the store. And when it comes to native, like if at this point, like the store has a precedent, you know, like and it's like if I'm going to open up another one, it's got to be as good, if not better.
Yeah, which is some cool kick-ass features.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Right?
So like the second store, you know, we'll still have actually the levee. The plan is, you know, hopefully to open up another store in Atlanta. They own the Avalon down there. So instead of the Cincinnati and Kentucky area codes, it'd be Atlanta area codes. Podcast in the front window where the employees get to interview local natives of Atlanta. And then instead of the 7-Up door, it'll be like a Dr. Pepper or, you know, something related to Atlanta. And then still have the Mad Scientist clothes in the back. So it's kind of got a relatability there. But, you know, opening up a second store, it's tough, man. Like I said, there's only 3 of us. So, and I feel like I'd become a maintenance man for that 7-Up door because it's like there's no schematics on it. It's not like I bought it from a company and installed it. Like I built it myself. So, you know, I've pretty much proofed it like from breaking down now. But being 2 hours away from a machine that, you know, if it goes down, it just turns into an open door and then the magic is gone. It's like I've got to make sure everything is you know, all my T's are crossed and my I's are dotted.
So if I step on that mat, which is some fake grass, right?
Yeah.
And that 7-Up door opens. See, the wall tricked me, though. It said hit the RC. I don't have to hit the RC. I just got to stay in the right spot.
Right.
Spot.
So it used to be the RC button, but there was too much damage. It's like the less I can have people touch this thing, the longer it's going to last.
So when I walk through that door, that 7-Up front opens.
Yeah.
What do I feel?
Like you're a kid again, man. Like it's like this wow factor, and it's funny too because everyone's ears they close. It's like as soon as they walk in, I'm telling them like, hey, you know, telling them a little bit of the story, but their eyes are just like, holy cow, this is crazy. So and you know, I built a big robot, a big 10-foot robot that's in there with old speakers. Tied them all together where like he makes his own little beeps and bops and all that stuff. And I want to get a fog machine to actually pump fog out of the holes of the speakers, but that's another project.
So if I walk through that door and then my eyes are just blown away, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 2 of them that I have.
Oh yeah.
Who am I when I leave that room? What's changed? What's happened to me?
Yeah, you're a friend of mine now, man. You know, when you come back out, like most people, it's. I don't want to brag, but like we get over 120 times a month. Like this is the coolest clothing store I've ever seen, right? And it's like it's right here in northern Kentucky, right? It's not even in Cincinnati. It's in Newport On The Levee. So the fact that like this store and we get people traveling from everywhere that come to the levee. So people in Chicago are like, man, this looks like this would be something in Chicago, and it's like, well, let me tell you the story.
Who's got the cash?
This looks like my bedroom when I was a kid, just with a little bit more money behind it. You know what I mean?
So do you what do you think? I know the whole butterfly effect's a real thing.
For sure.
So take away that 2016 night. What do you think native is right now? Have you thought about that?
For sure, man. I've got this theory of parallel universes and all that stuff. And one of the things that really drives me and upsets me is thinking that there's another Jay Banks in another parallel universe that's doing better than me. Which I know there has to be if parallel universes are a thing, but it's like, all right, like I need to make sure that I'm taking the right steps to make sure that I stay on top of this parallel food chain that I've got going inside my head.
So what's the parallel universe with Jay Banks with 2 eyes and a full ear? What's that native brand look like there?
I don't know, man. That's a good question. I'd probably 3 years behind where I am now.
I was gonna say because I like this one.
Yeah, I do too, man.
Right?
I do too. This one, I'm married now, so it's like I've got my blinders on, and it's just like I'm looking at the end goal. You know what I mean?
What is that?
I want 10% of New Era's business. I want every stadium to at least be 10% of native hats inside that place. Like, you know, a 10-year goal is to have a native day, and whether it's like the major league, where everybody, like, from the Cincinnati Reds, they all have the Reds hat with the Reds colorways, but each player gets his own hometown area code. You know what I mean? Like, I've got big dreams, man, and it's like you got to set them.
Yeah, that 10-year thing's. I think that 10-year thing's a smart thing.
Yeah,
because you got to be, man, that grind every day. That you're churning up every day.
Every day, man.
Right? It's got to be mentally working towards something.
Oh, yeah.
And that 10-year out moment, there's some special things about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know that. When you say 10 years, there's something special.
I'm coming up on one, yeah, so I tell me.
Well, what I've found is that it's not so far out that it doesn't feel attainable.
Right.
Right? So it feels like, I can get there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long time, but I can get there, and I can see it. It's like, okay, I went to one of my right-hand guys that helped me run the real estate company the other day. They pretty much run it, and I help them. And I said, hey, I can do this for another 5 or 10. These 80-hour weeks, like, no shit. These sometimes 90-hour weeks and just not sleeping. I can do it for another 5 or 10.
Yeah.
If you ask me 20, feels really painful.
Right.
Right? And so the 5 or 10, also what happens is it's like I got to work really hard. That's a big enough goal. I've got so many markers every year, every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I got to bust my ass so much so I even have a chance to hit that damn thing.
Right.
If it's a 6-month goal or a 12-month goal, you might catch yourself being a little lazy because this guy, it's not too far off.
Right.
Right, I got this. If it takes me 18 months or 2 years, that's all right. We'll still get there. It's okay. Yeah, 10-year goals are really big. And then we're probably going to fall short of that.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
But you're going to be somewhere further than you are now, and that's all right.
Right.
Yeah, that 10-year number, man, I think it's real special. And so where'd this come from? Because you're a creative guy at heart, right? You're a creative artist is what I'm seeing here.
For sure.
How'd you learn how to be this business guy?
I'm still learning, man. It's like you get thrown into a situation, then you figure it out. It was only a pop-up shop until it wasn't. And it's like you got to figure these things out. Now I've got 2 employees that, they're my best friends on the planet, and that's one of the things. It's like, I can't stop because I can't let these guys down.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
kudos to you, man. The moment you get an employee, you've sold them on the hope and dream.
For sure.
Right. Yeah, it's about your wife. Yeah, it's about this thing you're building at the end of the road. But now you could wake up every day, and if you failed, it's on you.
For sure.
Right. It's like you just let yourself down, go get it. You got people relying on you now, man.
Yeah, yeah. You know what, man? One of my employees, Tyrell, he told me that we had a great conversation in one of my pop-up shops. So it's like I've been playing Catch Me If You Can for a long time, where it's like I had a pop-up shop by Fountain Square for like 6 months or something. Then I was down by 16-bit with Procter & Gamble for a year.
And OTR?
Yeah, I had a store in Rookwood for a year or two. But so Tyrell I guess him and I had a good conversation at the one by the Fountain Square. And then he pops in to when I was over at the pop-up shop at Newport on the Levee. And he comes in with a native tattoo on his arm. Right. And it's this logo with the 513. And he shows it to me, so we start talking and hanging out, and then he's coming in every day, so I'd give him a job. And my wife was like, one day, she was like, how did you and Tyrell meet? And I'm like, this is going to sound like the first 48 or like some like undercover story. I'm like, he said we had a good conversation. He came in, and he had a tattoo on his arm, a native, and so I gave him a job, and she was like, oh, okay, But
what's that say to him that he went and got a tattoo before he was in working there, man? What's that mean?
You know what? So we've got a crew of people that have gotten like a native tattoo, and it's incredible, man. It's for me, like for a design that I created, and then somebody wanted to get this tatted on their body for the rest of their life. I want them to wear it as a badge. So if somebody gets a tattoo that's 2 inches by 2 inches or bigger, then we give them 40% off of clothes for life. And one guy actually got his nipple tattooed, man, and his wife or girlfriend filmed it at the time. He got like the ice cream eyeball logo, which is, It's
Are
crazy.
you challenging people to end their lives? What's going on here?
I'm not putting violence on anybody, but if you like the clothes that much where you want to get 40% off, I'm here for it.
That's incredible, man. I think how do you get to Atlanta? What happens? How do you make that happen?
I've got I've been in the works with a hat vending machine. This thing's pretty impressive, man. It's there was only one of them in the United States, and it's at the PBR Stadium in Las Vegas. So like only Cowboys are seeing this thing, and so I found the company that made them, and they're not badly priced, but there's like a 32-inch LED screen in the middle. There's 40. It's actually like a locker system, so you can see all 40 hats on the right, all 40 hats on the left. And then, you just type in 005, and then it'll pop up, and it'll say Native 859, Native of Kentucky, give a little backstory on the brand. And you can purchase the hat right there. And like what I like about these vending machines is it's not like one of those digital ones where you see the hat and you don't know what it actually looks like. Because I'm sure you're just like I am. You're going to look through. If there's 6 of the same hat, you're going to look at the thread. You're going to look at the placement. You're going to look at everything and go, that's the one I want. Not this one, but that one. Mm-hmm. And so that's the good feeling about this machine. And, being able to drop it, right there at the banks, and then doing the left side, which is all, Cincinnati's area codes, and then the Cubs when they come in, or the Rangers when they come in, being able to really home in on the market like that is pretty incredible, man.
So it's not embroidery. Is that an image? How's the image go on it? Or is it the hat right there?
The hat's
it's already there.
Once you hit 005, yep. Hit pay, the locker opens up and you just grab the hat.
So they don't have to do anything. Right, it's sitting there as one of 20 or 25.
80.
80.
There's 80 hats in each locker.
So the how are you going to? Because the struggle for me was always in the growth of my business.
Mm-hmm.
I never wanted to give any of it away, man.
It's tough, bro.
Right.
I've had people come in and offer money, but they don't bring anything other than money to the table.
Yeah, dude.
And it's like, I'm willing, just like you. I'm willing to put another 5 to 10 in, to get up to the majors.
Yep.
People look at it in the store. The store is incredible. Like when I say the minors, I'm definitely, I'm setting my own goals. When kids come in, they're like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. But it's like I'm still plugging away, and then once we get to that point where we do have a Lids, or we do have a second or third store, or Zoomies on the line, because they want the Mad Scientist stuff, but they want an online presence. And it's like, man, of course, dude. It's like I've been working so hard to try to get Native to 13,000. Now I have to open up another Facebook account, another Instagram account, another TikTok account, and then I've got to try to balance the two. It's like I don't want to do that, but that makes the most sense, because if you've got 20,000 followers, you're bringing in money. So that's like, I told him, I was like, hey, we've got a commercial that we're going to do about this incredible hidden part of the store. They're like, don't care. It's all about follower counts. It's like, I get it.
Wow.
All right, we'll get there.
Yeah, and I think the struggle is that every organization, right now you're an organization of 3,
mm-hmm.
right? It's like you got your organism, right, and all the cells and everything piling into this thing. And it's like, all right, I don't think that how I see myself in my company, I'm not any more important than everyone else in their roles, but the role I do play is significant.
For sure.
And how do you reproduce that creative brain to other locations when every free moment that you have,
mm-hmm.
it's new thoughts. I guarantee there are creative juices popping off.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Right.
We'll be driving down the street. My wife is like, where did that come from?
Yep. And so that piece is unique.
Yeah.
Like that is the driver of the brand. It is.
For sure.
So the same way I'm the driver of my brand. But without the other people, I couldn't see it come to fruition.
Absolutely.
Right? And so then it's like, all right, the challenge is when I take this pivot thing to these other cities,
mm-hmm.
which we're going to do. We're in 3 states right now selling homes. But when we take it to 3 cities, it's like, hey, man, I can only be one place at a time.
Right.
Right?
For sure.
There's people that will actually operate the business better than I would.
Mm-hmm.
but this passion, this spirit behind this thing we're doing. Yeah, how do you do that, man? Like, do you know that? Are you aware of that piece? Like, what can other entrepreneurs take from this that are listening to it? It's like, man, how do you scale this thing and go to that second location? How do you do that?
You got to put trust in your team, man. Like you're doing here, like we do there. I teach Tyrell and Andrew how to use a DTG printer. I let him make mistakes, because that's how you get better. That was the one thing with Tyrell is he doesn't want to mess up. He wants everything to be perfect. So he's willing to pull back and not hit the print button, just to make sure that everything's set and ready to go. And it's like, bro, press the button. Like, if it messes up, it messes up. Like, you'll learn and you won't do it again. You know what I mean? And so, like, with these guys, and like I said earlier, like, high tides rise all ships. It's like, I'm trying to get Andrew to be as good as I am, and I'm trying to get Tyrell to be as good as Andrew is, and then I need to get better at what I'm doing. And it's like, when that happens, then there's going to be more meat on the plate.
Yeah, right.
How
do because I bet with this nucleus of 3 of you, those guys, they care.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
When you say you're trying to get them to be as good as you, how do we do that?
Teaching, like I said, teaching them the DTG printer. These are things that when I'm in my head, I'm in there working, and I won't say things out loud. Like, if Tyrell's there, it's like, even though I'm printing and I'm doing these things on the computer, it's like I should be speaking out loud so that he can hear and he can understand what I'm doing. Because, these boys, they know everything about the brand. Like, when they come in, like, if I've got something new printed, before they even put their backpack down, he's like, that's dope. Or the other day, he was like, where'd that Boston shirt go? And it's like, we've had a Boston shirt that's just one single Boston shirt that's been sitting there for 6 months. And I haven't seen it in 3 months. And, they just yesterday, Tyrell comes in. He's like, where'd that Boston shirt go? And Andrew's like, sold it yesterday. And it's like that. These guys are on top of it, man. And it's like, in order to get better, we all have to be better, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like that's the only way that we're going to make it to the next level is if we're teaching each other, how to become better.
You mentioned 20,000 subscribers or followers.
13,000.
Yeah. So, but then you ask the guy, he's like, I don't care about your video, man. It's all about followers and subscribers.
Yeah.
What's the unlock you found to build that thing? That's the new social media answer for growing a business. It's like, how do I get subscribers and followers and likes, man?
For sure. I'd honestly, that ticker that I've got is low key genius. It sits right on our counter. And, if there's a group of 5 kids that come in, typically one will be like, hey, what's the Instagram? Or like, what's your tag? But with this ticker, as soon as they follow us, it adds them to the list so they feel like they're a part of the brand. And then we'll get all 5 of the kids because all 5 of them want to do it, not just the one. But interaction, man, being in there and commenting to these kids because, with our brand, I built it because I like the clothes and like this is the stuff that I like to wear. But I'm seeing that everything is getting younger, and it's these kids now, they're 11, 12-year-olds, and they're coming in 3-4 days a week, just pointing at stuff, just like I did when I was 11. I can't wait to get that shirt. I'm gonna come in one day and get that shirt. So like we treat these kids like like they're gold. They come in, we talk to them. How's school going? What do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like just tapping into the youth, and like thankfully, like Tyrell and Andrew, like they both see the bigger picture, right? And like even though like our demographic it's growing and it's getting younger, like these guys know that the future is this thing is in these kids like Mason that pops in 3 days a week, and a lot of these kids, you got to pay attention to them too, man. There's some clothing brands that are up and coming, and it's like, and if you don't pay attention to them, they're gonna, they've got these different views and outlooks because they're 18, 19 years old and they know how to use TikTok better than the 40-year-olds. You know what I mean? And it's like for us, like the lab has gone viral on TikTok I can't tell you how many times,
probably millions of views on things.
Yeah. But our own personal TikTok still doesn't even have 1,000 followers, and it's like, how do I grasp that? Because you don't know which one of these kids is going to come in and they're going to hit a video that's going to get 100,000 likes, but it's like, how do we reciprocate that? How do we bring it back to the brand? And it's like, we always tell them, like, use the hashtag I found the lab, but in these 100,000 views, nobody sees that except for the one person that posted it, right? So
connect this. The first shirts you sold were on Fountain Square during opening day 2014, right?
Sure. I like that, dude. Yeah, for sure.
How many did you pack in there? 30? 40?
Yeah, as many as I could, man. Maybe
rolled up in the backpack.
Literally already rolled up, taped with the sizing on it, so it was like kept as much room as I could. Yeah.
So that's grassroots
for sure.
How do you do grassroots social media? How do you do that? Like I'm sitting here thinking, like, because you got the store and they're coming to you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go out and do a grassroots campaign for social?
Yeah, you know what, man? I'm almost thinking we need to pull back on the inventions, right? And go back to what was popular in the first place and figure that out. Like the wow factor for us is definitely when people walk into the lab, and we've got footage of everybody, everyone's reactions, right? And it's like I would love to put those online, but I don't want to cross that barrier, even though, like, stepping onto the levee, like you give up your right to be recorded, right? In any mall. But I don't know, man. It's like, just keep putting out those good clothes, and at some point, one of these people, we had, what was his name? OG Bobby Johnson. So do you remember him from like Menace to Society and
I should have, but I don't.
He's a great character, man.
Okay.
He's
I know the movie. I remember the movie, but
yeah. So he popped in the store, bought a hoodie, and then he was filming a movie here. So getting it to people out like that. Chip the Ripper's a fan of the brand. He's worn it. You think that if like one person wears the stuff, then it's like game over, right? But it's like you still got to check in every single day, man. Like every morning, I'm still hunting for my meal, and we've had numerous celebrities. Alexa Bliss was just in the store buying stuff with Ryan Cabrera, and it's like.
It's like you're on the precipice almost. It's like
it's a sneeze, man. I can feel it coming, dude. I tell people I'm a curbside prophet. I'm just got my hand in my pocket and I'm waiting for my rocket to come.
Are you ready for when that moment happens?
Oh, I'm ready to be called to the majors for sure, bro.
How do you scale overnight? You ready for? I mean.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. We've got all of our ducks in a row when it comes to stitching, and shout out to TB Products. Those guys do all of our stitching right here in Cincinnati. They do a great job with everything. The puff is on point. And then the DTG stuff we do ourselves, and then we've got a screen printer, R&R that we use. So we're ready to go, man. And I've got, like, right now, we've got over 60 designs on the shelves at Native. And that's just for Cincinnati and Kentucky, right? So once if we get a store in Indianapolis, then it's gonna all be, the 317. It's all gonna be that, the Colts colorways or the Pacer colorways.
Do you is there any way to integrate this into companies? Like, take my company for example.
Okay.
And we have our swag, and there's some of it sitting there. We have our orange, our white, and our black. I wonder if there's any way to integrate that without changing the brand. It's like, what do we do when we feel it? We're like, we're native to our company, we're native to our brand. I don't know. It's just a thought process because I'm so passionate about our thing. It's like, how do we do that? How's a company do it? Because every company's buying apparel.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to this, like something.
So Richardson, yeah, grab it there. Yeah.
A quick thought would be like, doing this related to, like, this is obviously Bengals colorways, 513 Realty Group, and then when you get the Philadelphia pivot location open, it'd be the green and it'd be the 215 Realty Group. I could definitely see that happening, man.
I don't know. It's just this brain popping off, thinking about stuff. That's how it goes. So when, there's this debate out in the world. I love you're sitting across from me because I don't mind having differing opinions on things. And we always jump to conclusions on who we think people are. But I think this lines up with the passionate Jay on, like, you just took your thing and you're doing something with it. And I found real estate. It wasn't my destination.
For sure.
Right? So I just found something and went all in with it. This seems like this creative apparel was your thing.
And
Am I wrong?
No, it is, man. And you know what? When I had that store in Rookwood, it was right next to Buca di Beppo. I had a meeting with somebody from P&G, and we sat down and like I thought I was ready, right? Like I've got this meeting with an investor from P&G who's going to give me some advice, and at the end of the meeting, he told me, he was like, "This is a good business, for Jay and his family, but it's not going to put food on other people's tables." And I of course, like I wanted to choke him. It's like you're not seeing the picture, but I wasn't seeing the picture, and so I really took what he said to heart. And I was tunnel visioned at that point. That's before I was thinking we can do this with other area codes and go across the board and really, I use the analogy of having a big piece of meat on my plate and just kind of shivering off the fat, and then having this nice piece of meat at the end of the day. But, I was able to really just open my eyes and think, okay, well, if this is a good business for me and my family, then how do I make it something where I can put food on other people's tables? So that's when I started thinking, okay, instead of just thinking here locally, like let's think of when you're building this brand, think of it as you're building the brand for Chicago as well, and think of it as you're building the brand for Philly as well. So everything that I do, all these logos, I'm making sure that it can be synonymous across the board there.
So what was your first artistic passion? Do you remember when that was?
Yeah, man. I won a bike when I was 8 years old, actually. I guess 8 was the big year for me. I was growing up in Chicago. Harris Bank had a contest, a drawing contest. I drew the lion for him. I won a bike, and I got there, and they had one female bike and one male bike for the boy and the girl that won. The girl took the male bike, and so they left the female bike there. And so they gave me like a Toys R Us credit to go buy whatever bike I wanted. So I got to go down there and I bought this. I still love it to this day, man. My mom gave it away to somebody, but it's a California freestyle bike. It was all white with like white mags, white wheels with the orange tail on the back. And like from then on, man, it was like my artistic skills got me this bike, bro. You know what I mean? And like I don't know, something even from then, like I've always been creative. And I remember sitting in my I was the only kid in Chicago that had a basketball goal. In my neighborhood, and I built this little thing to try to get it where every time I shot the ball would just roll back to me instead of having to, go and get it. And it's like 10 years later, I see it in the East Bay magazine. You know what I mean? It's just like, all right, I'm onto something, dude. Like even as a kid.
There's something about you integrated that into your store.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Everything like the store's a lot to take in. Like absolutely. There's clues all over the walls to get you to walk over to the 7-Up machine. But like the knowledge that we've learned is so valuable to companies like Justice and all these like younger stores, because like we can literally like have a hard line at like 16 and under. They know within 2 minutes that there's more to the store. 17 and older, like especially adults, man, we got these blinders on, we lose our magic. So it's like they just look around the store and then they walk out. They don't realize that the best part of the store is yet to be seen.
So if we lose our magic after 17, how do we regain it?
By building interactive retail stores, man. by building more of these things, for sure.
Okay, but a guy like me, let's just say I'm just some normal dude off the street, which I don't know. I don't know if you all think I'm normal, but most parts of my life I'm pretty damn boring. But If I walk into that store, that may happen to me if I didn't know this. So how do I walk in there?
I think you would catch on pretty quick.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I could get out of the what are those rooms called?
Escape room.
Man, I don't know, dude. I got claustrophobia, dude.
Yeah, just end up kicking the door down. Just I know one of these
the emergency button.
I know one of these walls are fake here.
Give me X marks the spot. Open up the damn 7-Up door. I'm done with this place.
I get that though, man. There's a lot of people who are like, hey, are we gonna be kidnapped back here? It's like that wouldn't be very profitable. You know what I mean? But,
I'm pumped, man, because what I think about you is like I look up to a guy like you.
I appreciate that.
And you took your thing, you took your passion, and you're like, I'm not giving up on this thing. I'm going to do something with it. I just personally never had that.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that if I would have, life's more special.
For sure.
Right? Because it never, on those hard days of business that no doubt you have had,
mm-hmm.
and you still have, there's an extra gear.
Oh, yeah.
There's an extra gear that doesn't have to do with the money.
Absolutely, man.
Right.
Yeah, it's a passion. It's like I don't know what else I would do. You know what I mean? Other than design work for another company, which my mother, during the hard times, she was like, hey, like, you're really good. Maybe you should just make that phone call and try to work for another company. And it's like I've got this 10-year plan, Mom. Like I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna make it happen. Just let me do my thing. I'd like, that Ohio logo was the first logo that I did, and a lot of people were like, hey, come up with new stuff. And the same thing with that box logo. I made sure that I just kept plugging the same logo over and over and over until you realized, like, I've seen that before. You know what I mean? And that's when I started creating the other logos. And it's like I said, we've got 60 on the shelf right now, and I've got probably another 30 that we've already done, that it just rotates. So once a week, there's always something new in the lab. There's always some new stuff in the native store too.
Do you get pumped to go in that lab?
Every day, man. Every day. It's like my second home, man. I could live there.
You probably do at times. Just don't tell the levee.
Right. Hey, they'd be probably cool with it, man. You know what I mean? We podcast pretty late there. We on Tuesdays we go live at 7. Sometimes we're podcasting until 11 p.m. But I still remember those days of walking around the levee at 2, 3 in the morning when Jefferson Hall was a thing.
That was a cool place to go, man. We had Jimmy from Naked Karate Girls in.
Oh, nice, man.
And he's wild, man.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I remember Jay Hall when they were there. That was a fun show.
They're going to be opening back up as 16 lots.
Really?
Yeah.
Same location.
Yeah, they're Dell's doing some big work in there right now. So they're looking, I think around May is when they're going to be opening.
Yep.
But it's going to be a full distillery. They're going to be making their own beer there. And actually, I don't know if I should go ahead.
Go with it, man.
Yeah,
whatever you want to say, go with it.
We might be making our own native beer as
Really?
well. Yeah, that was a big project of mine, man. I wanted to be the next Hoodoo Pole, where you can just have a $2 can at the bar. And we've been working on something, and I've got a special project coming up with a famous character from the 80s that is now on the board as a brand rep.
Oh, like Fat Albert or something, man, or what?
Something like that, yeah.
Man, hopefully it tastes better than Hoodoo Pole, man.
For sure. I definitely. I'm into red lagers, man. I know. Okay. We're trying to make it cheap. We can, So and my wife's allergic to hops. She loves IPAs, bro. But she'll start sneezing like after the second sip. It's hilarious, but she loves them. So, but I know they're expensive to make, man. So it's like I really want to do just like an everyday, cheers to the while you're working on the car type beer.
That sounds fun. When you think back to on these hard moments, so you've been in this thing since when? Native started in 14. Is that when you really started in 14?
Yeah. So
9 years. Give me your toughest moment, man. Give me the toughest moment that you felt like quitting.
So right before, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here today is because I haven't given up, man. I've had my back to the wall, and there's been moments where I actually like there was a point where I was going to go pick up shirts from TSC, which is thankfully TSC. They were here in Cincinnati, so they were a major t-shirt distributor. And I went to go put gas on my car, and I didn't have enough money to put gas in my car to go pick up the shirts. And then I get immediately my car gets declined, and then I get a little ding on my phone. I had a sale on the website. So right there, I was able to fill my car up, and it's like there's been moments like that where, again, like Yosemite Sam, it's like my biscuits are burning, But it's like I've been pressed against the wall, but I haven't given up, And the one of the biggest moments, it was right before I got that clothing store, the pop-up shop at the Levee. I was behind on bills. I had my store in Dayton, but I was open every day. But, I would be lucky to get one sale. It was just off the beaten path at the time. And so I did like this one thing on Facebook. I said, hey, if anybody wants a hat with whatever area code you want, we can pre-sell them now. But this might be the last time you ever buy a native hat because I'm behind on bills. And the whole army came out, man. The friends, the families, my cousins, my uncles, their friends, my friends' friends, and it put me in the green. It literally changed everything, and it was like just asking, my friends on Facebook, hey, like, this might be the last chance you can get a hat. And that one thing turned everything around. I think we sold 2,000 hats, so it really like got us out of the red. And then right after that, the Levee said, hey, do you want to do a pop-up shop? And it's like, yes, get me out of Dayton, bro. Like, let's go. So
Dayton KY ain't all bad.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. And, like this podcast area you have here, like this is impressive, man. I thought I had one of the best studios around because of the glass and being able to like outsiders coming in to see it. But what you guys got here is incredible, man. But I've got a plan for that old Dayton store.
Yeah.
I want to redo like grandma's basement. Like I've been going to Goodwill's for the past like 2 years and buying. I bought the old clock, like the clock that everybody had with the snooze button with the red, flashing.
The LED, yeah, the big numbers like this big, a box sitting there.
Yeah,
right?
I got that exact same one. I've got like all these old cassette tape things, but I really want to do like panel wall, like wood cheap panel wall, lazy boys, like mom's basement style podcast, man.
Green colors, olive greens, mustard yellow, paneled
burnt
walls,
orange panels, yeah.
some shag carpet.
Definitely shag carpet, bro. Yeah, and all the furniture I want to buy straight from Goodwill too. Like I really want it to look like a mom's basement. But the best part of that store is we've got that big window right there on the avenue, so you can look in and it'll look like a studio.
Do you still have that space? Is it?
Sure do. Yeah.
Do you own the building or just lease it?
Yeah, I own the building. Yeah, I still live upstairs. And that was something like shout out to my dad. He passed away right before the clothing line got big, but he was like, "This is it, man. Like this is the house you want." And at the time, I was like, I don't want to be a landlord to somebody. I'd rather have the full square footage to myself. My dad was like, dude, look at me. Like, you can live here, and your best friend can be living downstairs. Like, you guys are basically living together, but he's paying you rent. And then you got a storefront where you can just goof around and start creating this brand. And it worked, man. It was like the perfect juxtaposition. It was like, I was able to live there, and then my friends were able to use that as a catalyst to to their life. And then having that storefront right there was perfect, man. We were doing the podcast when nobody was listening. I was selling clothes when nobody was buying, but it was mine. It was a piece there. So
every day, I think the mistake from talking to so many people that they make is we hear this message, and I send it out a lot. I'm like, hey, man, just keep going.
Yeah.
Just don't quit. I promise. But the problem is they stay stagnant. You can't combine stagnant with don't quit, because at some point you're not going to have any option. Party's going to be over.
You got to pivot.
Right? All day, baby.
You got to pivot.
Every day, I think you have to be creative. And what problems do I need to solve?
Absolutely.
Where's the new creative streak? And I think that's the problem. It's like you can have drive and commitment to an idea and a thing. But man, you better have some creative energy driving the evolution of whatever your thing is every day.
Absolutely.
What do you think about this piece about, I personally hate failure. I just know it's a part of business and building a thing.
For sure.
There's huge social media guys out there, Gary Vee and all these guys, and he's like, man, I love failure. I hate failure.
Yeah.
I hate it. I don't want to invite it into my life. I mean, I know it's going to be here. I'm going to have to overcome it. I'm going to fail more than I win. But what's your idea? Do you love it or hate it?
It doesn't feel good. You know, you got to take it on the chin. There was a moment when I had the P&G deal that I had. So it was the last hurrah. They were taking the clothes out at the end of the year. And I wanted to do a big event, so I rented this graffiti artist. We did like this Guinness Book of World Records, the world's biggest piece of graffiti on clothing. So I had 30 shirts all lined up, and he did one big mural on them. And there was a bad thunderstorm that night. Nobody showed up. And like I spent all this money, and I was trying to impress P&G on this last stint. And like I had, you know, maybe eight friends that showed up, but other than that, like it wasn't an event at all. And I went home and I broke down to my wife, girlfriend at the time, and I told her, I was like, I just can't do this. Like, you know, the when it's only you, like the W's feel good, but the L's they hurt, man, because there's nobody to blame but yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I can't blame it on this person or that person because this was my idea, my function, my brain, my baby. And so that next day, like I was giving up, man. I was in my car in front of the clothing store. I just pulled all the stuff out. And I had I was on my phone. I was doing this fake message about thank you everybody for showing up last night. It was an amazing time. But like really in my heart, I'm like, this is over. I'm done. And then I get this little knock on my window, and I look over, and it's Stephanie, the manager of the store, and she just does this, and I look over, and it's Emilio Estevez, and he's like, "What are you doing, dude?" And so I hop out of the car, and I saw a photo of him the day before. He was in there, and he bought a native hat, but I wasn't there. Stephanie sold it to him. So I hopped out of the car, and I introduced myself to him, and he was like, I came back to buy a bunch of your hats, but they're all, you know, they're not in here. And I was like, oh, sorry, bro. Like, so I opened up the trunk of the car, and I sold him like $300 worth of stuff out of the trunk of my car. But I told him, I'm like, bro, like, you have no idea, like this, you came in at the perfect time because I was giving up. Like, you know, I had a horrible night, like everything that I just spent my life savings on this piece of graffiti, you know, and then you're here, and he's like, he prayed with me, gave me a hug. He's like, you know, look, dude, like, you know, you're on to something big here. This is my absolute favorite hat, and I'm coming back here to buy these from my mom and dad and brother. And so he bought a bunch of stuff and brought it back to him, and we've kept in touch ever since, and he's been a great mentor and friend. But it's just moments like that where it's like, you know, I was giving up, man. That L, it hurt too much. But it's like that next day, like, again, something's there, like Yosemite Sam, my 6 shooters, man. Just I'm still here today for it.
I'm thinking how many people. Because, see, let's say Emilio doesn't show up. Like, it sounds like what I've heard, there's 2 significant moments that if they don't happen.
Absolutely.
The Jay's not sitting here.
Yeah. 3, actually,
Give
man.
me the third one.
So I signed the lease on that Newport store on March 3rd of 2020. So I signed the lease to the store. Yeah. And we had these kids, man. They were awesome. Jose and Sean Bucci and these kids. They were always coming by the store. They're just a bunch of skateboarders, and we got the key to the store. And they were like, when are you guys gonna move in? We're like, probably next month. And they were like, bro, let's do it now. And so we had these 4 skater kids that moved everything over into that store. So we got everything done in one day. And then the pandemic hit on the 14th was when we first heard about it. And on the 17th, they shut everything down. So I just signed this big lease. I was just in Like I was on the news for it. We were in the paper for it. Cincinnati Business Courier did something for us. But everything like halted right there. And it was like, I just spent all this money for all this new, like, just the hangers alone is a small fortune when it comes to a small business, like, let alone like buying all the fixtures for the walls on a 4,000 square foot store. But then we built out that white room the way we needed it, and then it shut down. So we weren't able to do anything. Like, we weren't even allowed to be open. And, I had a good buddy of mine, Andrew Listerman. He's from Cincinnati. He moved to LA and started Riveting Entertainment, which is they do a lot of music videos for Drake and Justin Bieber and these guys. But he told me, he was like, you got to pivot, in moments like this. Like, you can't give up, man. Like, keep one foot on the ground, move that other foot, pivot, and figure out where to pass that ball. And as simple as that statement is, if you can figure out like what the meaning behind that is, it makes so much sense, man. It's like the keep that foot on the ground and then figure your way out, because you're gonna be able to make it. You just have to be patient and figure it out.
So what'd you do?
We went online. So me and the wife right away, we started tie-dyeing some clothes. We had a bunch of white sweatshirts that already had the box logo on them. So me and the wife literally tie-dyed everything out of the house. I printed these little sublimation patches that had my like Mad Scientist cartoon figure or her Mad Scientist cartoon figure with the exact time and date of when we made them. So all these, there's a small run of native hoodies and T-shirts out there that have like the pandemic dates of like March 17th or March 22nd. And if it was done by me, like it might be like 3:54 a.m. like doing these things like super late at night because there was nothing else for us to do. We were stuck in the house. So
I think all right. So 3 moments.
Yeah.
Right. So the moment with Listerman, your friend.
Yeah.
Right. Pandemic comes. That happens.
That was a scary moment, man, because that was the big boy moment, right? That was like we signed the lease on a big store, like, and we're getting ready to like feeling like you're getting called up to the majors, right? And then all of a sudden the pandemic happening, and like I just literally I spent $300-400 just on white paint, and then like the lights that were in the white room. I replaced the standard 3,500K with 4,500K, and then didn't like the way those looked, so I brought it up to 5,000K. Didn't like the way those looked,
6,000.
and then went to 6,000K and was like, "This is it, dude!" Like, so I was trying to make that room so white that when you took photos and put it on Facebook, there would be no edge. And that was the goal for that store. And so like I just got obsessed with it. Like we were closed anyways, right? So it was like let's fine tune everything that's in here.
So these 3 moments, you post on Facebook, your people just come, they buy 2,000 hats from you.
Yeah.
Right. You've got the car packed up. The girl did she work at the Levee? Was she the leasing lady?
That was the P&G store next to a 16-bit.
So she brings Emilio up, right?
To the car, yeah.
Pandemic happens. You don't know what's going on. Your buddy Listerman calls and he's like, "Hey man, listen, 1 foot planted. You got to pivot. You got to do something else." It all combines humans and people in your life, man.
Absolutely.
Right. And so you must have made enough deposits somewhere. Right.
For sure.
So that these people showed up and they're like, "All right, man, it's time for you to withdraw. Let me help you out."
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just good friends looking out for each other, man. It's like, and I'm sure most of those guys have been in that situation before. They're very adverse at what they do, and they're very smart and forthcoming. So if they see, somebody that's a couple of years behind them, struggling, just sending out a little bit of knowledge is it's a lifetime of wealth for somebody like me.
But they're not going to do that for anybody, man.
Right.
Those are busy guys.
Right. I can see that.
Right.
For sure.
And so whatever you did, you're a pretty humble dude too. Like, you're this cool combination of you're very driven, very committed to your thing, but you're a humble dude. And I think if they didn't see something special, that had already shown up in their life in some way.
Right.
Right?
Right.
They wouldn't have been here. They wouldn't have been coming to the rescue, the 911 call. And see, that's the piece that guys like you have to share with others about how you got to live your life.
For sure.
Because if you don't do the right things and get up every day and do positive things for others in their lives,
right,
when the chips are down, man, and your life's going to shit, there's going to be nobody there to help you out.
Yeah. You know, it's that woe me thing, that's real too though, man. You know, if you feel like there's a dark cloud hanging over your head, that dark cloud will find a way to hang over your head. You know what I mean? Like you get out what you put in, and you know, the being nice to your neighbors is something that, you know, it's tough for some people, but you know, everyone's going through something different, man. And especially at a time like this where, you know, everyone's on edge. There's tens of thousands of people that had homes a year ago that are now homeless, man. So it's like, you know, you got to treat everybody that with the same amount of respect that you would want. You know, put out what you put in.
Yeah, it's a wild time. It feels so for us, I never went home. A lot of our people did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, started with like go home for 2 weeks, and we all know the evolution of that over a couple years. I never went home. Every day came in. Somebody's got to keep it going.
Right.
Somebody's got to watch the place, right?
For sure.
And the last 3 years have been they've been tough, but I'm a pretty resilient, mentally strong guy. I can overcome some stuff because I've been through so much in the past.
For sure.
Not the eye thing, not the ear thing, Bright, or whatever our toughest day is. It's it's your toughest day.
Absolutely.
And so, but I look around, man, and these past 3 years have been really tough on people.
Yeah.
Right? And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to like, hey, let's just unlock this mindset. Like it's a choice every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're locked down there, but to try to be that moment that your friend Nick showed up for you.
Right.
To try to be that for as many people as we possibly can. And to sit down and say, hey, listen, man, it can be better than this.
Oh, yeah.
Your life can be better. Your business can be better. Your everyday can be better. But I think it's important. What'd your wife say? Not to drag her into it too much, but you invoked her. Yeah. What'd she say on that night you went home and you're like, yeah, I can't do this anymore?
She just consoled me, you know, like it's your decision. You know, it's like whatever you need to do to for the next step. You know, she was just there for me, man. So, and it's like she didn't talk me out of it. She didn't tell me it was a stupid decision. She just sat there and held me, like gave me a hug and just told me, you know, I'm behind you, whatever decision you want to make.
That's special.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, it's definitely, man. Having somebody that's worth fighting for is it's really gratifying. You know, she's got a daughter, so I've been in Aslan's life since she was like 4 years old. She's 13 now. So, you know, I've never dated somebody with a kid before. I've avoided it, and it's like, what am I doing? What like there's so many more attributes to somebody that already has a kid. You know, she has this responsibility and she has this mindset, you know, and it's like the second that I found Kaylin, like everything kind of just balanced out. Like, you know, the static and the friction of your life kind of just disappeared, and it was like, all right, now it's her and I, and now it's like, all right, now let's run for that finish line, man.
What's the rest of 2023 look like for you?
It's going to be an exciting year, man. We've got the podcast. We've got some bangers lined up as guests. But when it comes to the store, it's all going to be about the interactive retail. We're bringing augmented reality in. We've got Chris Brock. He's a genius when it comes to like augmented reality, AI, ChatGPT. So we're getting him involved to do some augmented stuff, like I was saying earlier with the podcast, and you know, you'll be able to. Ideally, like I think it'd be crazy to actually see the store from the outside because it's like all glass, and make it look like it's a big aquarium where there's sharks and fish that are swimming inside the store, you know, through the phone itself. But telling the story, and that's the one thing that we've noticed with the clothing brand is, you know, having a store today, like at Kenwood Mall, if you go into PacSun or if you go into Zoomies are one of those. It's packed to the brim. There's clothes from the floor to the ceiling, and there's no experience. It's everything's just buy. What, like, how much clothes and how many shoes can we fit in here? And for our store, it's like we're trying to give you the experience. Like everyone is always telling me, like, go online. Like yeah, we're online. I'm not focused online. Like I'm trying to give people an experience, and I'm trying to. Unfortunately, I feel like I'm trying to reinvent the wheel when it comes to retail, because retail is dying right now. But the clothing store that we have is so different than anything that you've ever seen. On a shoestring budget, I made all of our mannequins have robot heads with TVs in them that play. It either plays the story or plays one of our podcasts or one of those things. But everything in there is very, like I said, even the robot in the back room that does the beeps and bops, like everything. There's a story behind every wall there. So it's like when you go into the lab, there's a T-shirt that says, I found the lab and all I got was this effing T-shirt. There's another one that has a 7-Up door on it, and it looks like a Twilight Zone where the 7-Up door is just floating. So it's like we're trying to give you guys like something to bring home, and as like a memorabilia, almost like a novelty gift shop at this point.
So you're trying to drive more traffic, which is against what you keep on hearing as the retail narrative.
Yeah. Everybody just wants to shop online, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that. We've got the world's first virtual clothing store.
What's that mean?
So it's actually you can take your phone and you can walk through the store. You can click on stuff. You can add it to your cart. You can click on the TV on the wall, and it'll play one of our like news interviews. You can click on the radio, and it'll play Q102's music. But it's an actual virtual store, so you can put on the Oculus and walk through our store and do your own shopping without having to be there.
That's wild.
Yeah, and it's thevirtualclothingstore.com. So like back when like virtual reality was first getting big, I was, I'm one of those guys that buys all those websites, man. I've got, so many different ones. I found thelab.com, TheMadScientistLab.com, Hypercolor. Do you remember Hypercolor?
Yes.
I legally owned Hypercolor in 2012. I think we might be doing another relaunch in springtime under the Mad Scientist. But yeah, I was the last person to physically own Hypercolor. I was launching it. And then I got sued by a law firm in New York City who bought the trademark from Genera, but they were waiting for somebody like me to come in and give them $500,000 for the trademark. So what happened was I met this kid, not a kid, he was an IP attorney. I met him at Bobby Mackey's. I knew his girlfriend that he was there with. And at the end of the night, he thought I was getting free drinks, and it's a cash-only bar. So he came up and he was like, "Hey, do you mind if you get me and my girl a drink? I'm out of cash." I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool." So I paid for it, and he felt so bad that he was like, "Dude, I'm sorry, I thought you were getting free drinks. I'll give you a free hour of trademark talk." I'm like, "All right, that's cool. Like, cheers, whatever." And he kept calling, and I kept ignoring him because I'm like, "What do I need trademark talk for?" And I was sitting in my original store in Dayton, like there was nothing there except for the graffiti on the wall at the time, and I had my laptop on my lap, and I was looking up Hypercolor. I was trying to find the blanks because it's like there's no way this has gone out of business. For people that don't know, Hypercolor is a color changing clothing brand that like changed from hot pink, from purple to hot pink, or green to yellow, or orange to yellow, with heat. So you just touched it with your hands, but so the guy was calling as I was
searching
for the Hypercolor, and I picked it up and I was like, okay. I was like, look up Hypercolor, see what's going on, and then let me know. And so he calls me back like 10 minutes later, and he's like, "You're not going to believe this, dude. Their trademark is up in 28 days, and every 3 years the same lady's reissuing the trademark, but she's not doing it at the end of the 3 years. She's letting it expire and then coming in Friday morning and then doing it to save an extra day." And he's like, "That's the same lady doing it. So if we submit at like 11 p.m. at night, there's a good chance you might win this intellectual property." So we did. We submitted it at nighttime. We ended up winning. So now the Hypercolor trademark is legally mine. So we built the website. and him and I ended up teaming up as partners. But we had the T-shirts already printed and made. We were the only person on the planet that has the logo. When the law firm in New York sued us, they said they couldn't even prove that it was the original Hypercolor logo. And in the actual lawsuit, it was an all-black T-shirt that didn't change colors, and it had those iron-on letters that you can buy from Michaels that said Hypercolor, and that was their proof of we've been trying to bring this back and have been unsuccessful. So they sued me for unfair competition, which is basically if they can prove within the past 3 years that they were trying to bring the brand out, then they would legally win it back. So I had my buddy as a lawyer at the time, so his law firm was trying to fight it for me. So they applied or they submitted the lawsuit in New York. So we went to New York, tried to fight it. They prolonged the case, so set to another date, and then we went to New York to fight it, and it was set to another date. And my buddy's law firm was like, they're going to do this till you have no money. And unless we can get this transferred over to Ohio, you've got no skin in the game. So I ended up losing the trademark to Hypercolor, man. So that's the main reason why you don't see Hypercolor around right now, is because
and no one's doing anything with
Daddy Fat Sacks lost it to a law firm that doesn't know how to use it.
Isn't that sad?
It's insane, man. We even tried to partner with them, saying, hey, we'll give you a percentage of the company. Just let us do what we were doing. We were in the middle of it. We already had the T-shirts made and ready to go. So,
and they didn't want any part of it. They're like, screw you.
No.
Come up with your $500,000. Did they give you an offer?
No. They were so mad that some kid from Kentucky took their bread and butter, man, that they just didn't want to deal with it.
Don't they have enough shit in New York City that they can work on and focus on?
I'd have the feeling that I could probably sue them for unfair competition, since they've held on to it and haven't done anything with it. And we were the ones that were sending Nike like a cease and desist, saying, hey, you can't use the word Hypercolor for your dunks. And the same thing for a nail company. There was a nail company that was using the word Hypercolor for color changing nails. And once you get into the trademark game, that's how you end up losing trademarks, is when you dilute like the name, like Xerox, for instance. You don't want to. Do you know about that?
A little bit. So I've started over the past 12 months. It's weird we're talking about this. I've really started to dive in on it.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting, man.
I'm probably on a college education. I'm probably like 4th grade right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Xerox, they've actually taken out like 2-page articles in the New York Times before that says it's a copy, not a Xerox. Because if too many people use the word Xerox as a copy, then Xerox loses their trademark. So that's just one of those things. I think Escalator was one of those things. Escalator was a trademark that just got diluted.
And then everything just became an escalator.
Yep.
So I'm learning more. I have a lot more to learn, but I'm in the midst of it on some things.
Yeah.
It's I think I might have missed on something by not getting my legal degree.
You know what, man? It's always nice to have that in your back pocket, right?
I have some really good relationships with guys that help me out with leases and all sorts of real estate issues all the time.
Oh yeah.
And some of them lease from me, so I'll just walk down to another floor like, hey boys, got to serve with this. What's happening?
Yeah.
Somebody's trying to come after some money. They're trying to come after something. They're like, oh, we'll take care of it. And so if you have those friends that don't charge you much, you can survive.
For sure.
Right?
For sure. It's always nice to have that in your back pocket, though, man. YouTube University.
How much have YouTube's come up a couple times here? How significant is YouTube now to the business world, to your world, to learning things, to your understanding? How important is it?
I use it every day. Every day, whether I've got my headphones on and I'm working and listening to a podcast or something, or learning a new technique on the computer itself. There's one thing. We're talking about these trademarks and stuff, and that's the brand itself. Like we did the Bass Pro Shop hat, very small runs of. And it's kind of like not a catch me if you can, but it's we like pressing the boundaries of where we want to be. So we don't want to be just a simple Cincinnati T-shirt brand. We want to be the next Nike or the next New Balance. And it's like, how do you do that? Well, you got to poke bears. And so for us, when it comes to it, like the Bass Pro Shop hat, we did a super small run. We got a cease and desist from them on it. And then we stopped selling them, and then whoever has those hats, hopefully they're worth more down the road. You know what I mean? And that's the name of the game for a streetwear brand, is like, how do we, everything we do is like limited runs of stuff, since we're able to print in-house. So as long as we keep everything limited and to a small degree, we can move on to the next idea, next design.
What's limited mean? How many? What quantity?
So hats we'll do 25 or 50 of each. Same thing with shirts. Sometimes we'll do a run of 25. A lot of the times I'll make one of something and throw it in the store. Just have it sitting somewhere random in the store. See if somebody notices it and picks it up. But that's the beauty of having that DTG printer there, is we can experiment with stuff. And I've done a lot of designs in my lifetime. That Cincinnati Harambe logo, like that's the one that just is still sticking to the wall to this day. That was something that we did when Harambe passed. There was a petition going around to change the Cincinnati Bengals to the Cincinnati Harambes. And I was friends with Ray Maluga at the time, and he was like, "Hey, you should think about creating this logo just in case this thing takes any legs." So I made the logo, the Cincinnati Harambe logo, and I had like the Bengals style stripes with the colors in there. And obviously nothing ever came to fruition, but that's by far like the biggest team to never play a sport, man. I've got clothing, I've got photos all over the world of people wearing that T-shirt.
Do you think, from your experience, it's a very broad idea, but do you think it's important to go really deep and linear on an idea, or go wide? Like, how's that apply to your business?
Explain that.
Well, so like the Harambe thing.
Yeah.
Because that actually, for people who are animal lovers, who like going to the zoo, they might not be necessarily apparel people or somebody who would ever bought a T-shirt like that.
Right.
But they're going to buy the shirt because it has Harambe the gorilla who passed away on it. I just think it reaches more people.
It definitely does.
So I'm wondering, because everything you hear about business is you got to go linear, you got to stay on track. Don't broaden it too much, because you're going to deter from your focus, which I've learned that.
Right.
But what's the best way to grow a brand? Do you go deep with your crew, with just your thing, with just your native logo, or do you have to broaden it to gain, I guess, mass appeal from? So what's that?
I think so it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the box logo, how I just kept bringing that out and just kept putting that in people's faces for the 3 to 6 months, and then after that, then I broadened the horizons of the other logos. But being an artist, like, you don't know which one's going to stick to the wall. Like, some of my favorite designs, like, you take all the time and effort to do this thing, and then you crumble it up and you toss it on the wall, and some of it sticks and some of it doesn't. And it's like, man, that logo was incredible, bro. Like, I can't believe no one's really gravitating towards it. But like, to each his own. And as long as we're printing on quality material, I think it's gonna sell regardless. So that's most of it in the store. Like, we don't have too much stuff that's on sale. It either just fades out, like once it comes down to like smalls and mediums, we'll stop running it for a month or two, and then we'll bring it back. But yeah, it's just we're kind of all across the board, man. We've got the native standard like box logo, the arch logo, things like that. But then we've got like the NASCAR style shirts. We've got like streetwear style shirts. We got the Harambe, and obviously we've got Bengals style like colored merch in there as well during the season.
What do So, not to talk about another brand, but I always find myself, I'm interested, when I would buy our swag gear for us. I've learned the thing about the small mediums, for the record. It's disastrous for us when we have them just sitting around.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're not trying to make money. I'm literally, the people at our company, I buy in bulk, and I'm like, just pay me what it costs me, guys.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, you can go out and build the brand and go out and sell homes. And so I found that a brand has the most comfortable shirts, T-shirts, hoodies. Life is good stuff. What is up with them? Like, how are they mentally? They must have a department.
That dude is. Do you know a story about that guy?
No, I don't know anything about him.
That guy had like $17 into it in his account, and apparently, like, he lived in like this frat house that that was not dilapidated, but like they were drawing all over the walls, painting all over the shit, and somebody drew that stick figure, and but it was smiling, and somebody wrote like life is good above it, or like this guy's got life figured out, life is good. And he took that idea and just ran with it. And that was like, he was big with the Jeep companies, so like he was putting them on the backs of Jeeps and stuff. But I'm for sure he's probably doing some he's either just I haven't seen the tees that he's rocking, but they're probably either just tri-blends are always really comfortable tees. They've got the right mixture of the three. But he might be just cut and sewing them himself. There are so many manufacturers now from China that can knock out bulk wholesales of stuff you need for sure.
Do you have to go there and touch it and feel it? Like how do you know?
No, they'll ship it right to you. So you can contact them. They'll ship you a sample of what it's going to look like, and then they can run it about 45 days or so is what it takes to get stuff back.
What's quality of a shirt you're wearing today or a hat? Like what's quality when you're looking for quality? What's that mean to you when you're looking at this apparel and headwear?
The density, most likely. Like that's something I've noticed with those Bella hoodies that I've used that started the brand that I used to love. Those same hoodies are just a hair thinner. And when it comes down to that, like I really feel the streetwear brand is something different than what like your day-to-day wear is, right? But there's t-shirts now that are coming out that are 11-ounce t-shirts, and that's heavier than hoodies. Hoodies are 8 ounces. So like they've got these t-shirts that are coming out that are literally 3 ounces thicker than the hoodies that are coming out. But and right now that's the market. That's what people are wanting. They're wanting the drop shoulder, meaning, the
like 1980s Madonna or something, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that kind of falls perfect for us because with the DTG printer, we can print that old school like Cash Money Records style T-shirts and stuff.
So like if I came in and I'm like, hey Jay, I got this hoodie. Like I need quality like this. You'd instantly know. You're like, I know where to go get it, man.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife, man, we were at the house and she bought some underwear off of some website, and I think it might have been Kim Kardashian's Skims line, and she's like, "Oh my God, I've never felt anything like this. Feel this," and I touch it and I give it back to her. I'm like, it's my doll, and she's like, "What?" And then she looks at it. She's like, I've never even heard of that before. How would you know? It's like that's the lane I'm in, man. I know, and it's crazy to think that your fingers can really tell the difference. Yeah, just relate right to the mind, man. But that's the aliens that we are.
So this idea about it takes 10,000 hours to become proficient at something.
I agree with that.
Yeah, for
sure. Yeah, I'm checking in every single day, man, and every single day I'm learning more. What I was saying about the logo is one of those things that I know we're stepping a boundary by creating like the Skittles pack, but that's really honing in on my skills as well, because I'm in Adobe Illustrator making sure that the shadings and everything are like spot on to what the original logo looked like. So I'm gaining a wealth full of knowledge just by testing the waters that way. And like I said, we do a small run of them. If we get a cease and desist, we got to pay a small fine, but it's a streetwear brand. We're trying to be the bad boys of the clothing industry. So
I bet they hate you, man, in the boardrooms.
Oh, I'm sure, man. Yeah, we've gotten it a couple times, but there's companies like Supreme that it's like once you get to that point where they start messing with Louis Vuitton, and instead of Louis Vuitton suing them, they go, hey, let's just collab because that's a smarter bet.
Yep. It'll happen to you. You guys keep going. That stuff's going to happen. Probably sooner rather than later, man.
I'm ready for it, man. Like I said, I'm still in the minors. I'm ready to get called up, and that's one of my mentalities. Maybe the reason why I keep saying that is because it's like I'm ready to blast off. Like I've got all my knowledge and everything ready to go, and it's like when I get called up to the next stage, it's not relax time. It's like double down time.
At the next stage, what will that order look like? What's the next stage order? Quantity, volume.
We do decent runs now, but honestly, I'm really looking towards these hat vending machines, man. I think it's a home run. There's no refrigeration in them, so like the cost is pretty minimal considering, opening up one store will cost you $150,000. I can probably buy, 10 of those machines and fill them and put them in different cities, and then if it doesn't work well in Philly, then we can move it to St. Louis. You know what I mean? And just test out the market that way. But it's also a good way to test out the market on dropping a new store. You know what I mean? So if they start selling well, then we're trickling, we're getting our due diligence and being noticed without having an employee.
So what, do you just have to have one person in town, like the dudes who stop and pick up the bird scooters at night to take them back and get charged?
Something like that, yeah.
One person to fill them?
Yeah, I've got, ironically, I've got a cousin that's the, he's one of the big dogs over at Cintas. And he's got the whole sales force that's nationwide. So he's like, hey man, if you ever, but I'm not opposed just to like getting on like some sketchy airplane, 3 stops, heading around the United States for one day to do it myself.
I don't know if sketchy's the one you want, man. You got too much in on this thing.
Right? Yeah, very true.
Does that go through your mind on? See, there was no risk that was too great as you were building this thing. Whatever.
For sure.
Risk was like your middle name, man.
Oh yeah.
Right? But what about now? You got a lot on this thing now. You're married.
Yeah.
Are you willing to roll the dice as much?
Yeah, I definitely am, man, because this is all I know. This is the only thing I'm good at. So it's like I just keep doubling down every day. I wake up, I'm hunting for my meal. Same thing with the boys, man. They're there trying to figure out ways to, to trim the fat and really have a nice piece of steak for all of us to eat.
What's your favorite steak?
You know what, man? You're talking like in the city, like obviously Jeff Ruby's is the go-to the seasoning, but like I hate saying the word, but I like Pittsburgh style, dude.
What's Pittsburgh style? I don't know what that is.
It's like charred on the edges, but then I can't go rare on the inside. I got to go like mid to mid rare. But yeah, so basically like if the chef knows what he's doing, he just puts extra seasoning on the steak and then chars it. So you've got that real crisp on the edge, and then medium, mid rare on the inside is perfect.
Why is that Pittsburgh style?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I got to whisper it to him, though, if I'm here in Cincy when I'm asking for it.
Pittsburgh's bullshit. I'll call it. Man, you got to get all the cities to love you. I don't have to right now. Pittsburgh can kiss my ass.
You know what? I was out in Pittsburgh filming a movie, man, and that town is pretty awesome, dude.
Why is that awesome?
Just, I don't know, man. The whole, like, the coming through the tunnel and then seeing the whole city right when you pop out of that, that mountain.
Man, we've got ours, man.
No, trust me, dude.
Come down the hill, baby.
I love Cincy, bro. Cincy till I die for sure.
I was setting you up to attack you, but Pittsburgh. So you like it?
It wasn't bad, man. But then again, we were there filming a movie, so we were kind of like, we felt cool being down there. So like every bar we went into, we were like, oh yeah, blah blah blah.
Does it feel similar to Cincy?
Yeah. There's pockets. There's definitely like there's an OTR down there. There's a downtown down there.
So when you hit it real big, like you're cool locally, but when you hit it real big, because you will. Appreciate that.
God willing.
You will, man. If you keep going and you're able to live life, you will. So what's the big hit look like? Where are you, man? Are you in the Bahamas? Are you on a yacht somewhere? Are you out in the woods where no one can find you?
Man, that's a tough question, bro, because my wife's from Indiana, and so she likes that country. She likes the woods and she likes all that.
Now I know why she picked you, because she don't even know anybody else exists.
Right. Oh, yeah. I plucked her early, bro. Yeah.
So she's from Indiana.
But if we end up doing real well, I'm gonna get suckered into moving to Ireland, because she just wants to live out there, man. I don't know. But personally, Phoenix is kind of fire, dude. Like my mom's living out there, and I'd like to spend a little time with her. And it's got that Chicago mentality because it's like all the old Italians that lived in Chicago. Now they all live in Phoenix, and they open up their own restaurants. So it's like you can still get Chicago style hot dogs. You can get Portillo's. You can get Geno's or Chicago style pizza. And it's like it's all right down the street from her house. She can take her little golf cart and drive over there, bro.
So Phoenix, so Ireland. So you got this red beer going on.
Yeah.
Where's
yeah.
the Irish pool?
It's my dad, man. My dad was Irish and German, and my mom was 100% Italian. So
Wow, what a combination,
right? Yeah, yeah, man.
That's some fire.
But you know what? I lived in Florida for a while. Florida was cool. I just need to see some water or a beach, but I don't know, man.
Phoenix doesn't have that, Jack.
Phoenix doesn't have that.
That's just where mom is.
But at the same time, man, with everything going on, it's like I don't want to be on the edge on the edge of the United States if everything starts happening.
Yeah, right here in the center.
Yeah.
I think there's some. Do you think we're just homers because when did you come here from Chicago?
I came here in 1995.
All right, so you were a teenager.
Yeah, 14 years old.
How do you see Cincinnati or Northern Kentucky? How do you identify with it?
I love it, man. Like for instance, like growing up in Chicago's so massive. It doesn't have that latch. Like you can't latch on to Chicago like you can latch on to Cincinnati, right? And like I had my cousin was from Chicago. They were touring for baseball. He was a pitcher. And they were staying here in Cincinnati, so I snuck him and his buddy out of the hotel one night, brought him downtown, and just within the 3 bars we went to, they met Johnny Cueto, and then I think Aroldis Chapman was down there, and then they met Dusty Baker at the other bar. And Dusty was the night, like they were all like super nice to my cousin, their pitchers as well. But when we were at Mainstay talking with Dusty Baker, like he was telling my cousin tips and offered tickets and my cousin like really put it into my perspective. Like, bro, Cincinnati's insane. Like, you will never get to meet a baseball player or Dusty Baker. Like, and Dusty kept his word too, man. He gave me his cell phone number. Gave us all tickets to the game so we sat right behind home plate. But it's just like Cincinnati has that like if they mess with you, they mess with you, right? And it's like Cincinnati loves Cincinnati, so anything that Cincinnati does, they're going to latch on and they're going to be a big part of it. And that's like that gets lost in a big city like Chicago.
I guess that's not normal then, because this is just our thing. But every time I come back home, I was just in New York City over December and New Year's. Me and my lady, we were in Europe. My first really trip to Europe. We were around the Mediterranean, went to Morocco, Northern Africa, went to Paris for a full day.
Oh, shit.
And it was cool.
Yeah.
Right, 13 days, it was real cool. But then I was just in New York City for a conference a couple weeks ago. And I don't know if coming back home, if everybody feels that way. It's like, well, I just want to get back home. I don't know. But it feels special coming here, man.
Right. Sure does, man.
It's
easy living, man.
It is.
There's something. It might be that Kentucky right across the water. There's something about Northern Kentucky that has like a Yellowstone City vibe. It's like I can go 10 minutes south and I can see white picket fences and horses, or I can go 10 minutes north and I can catch, Josh Wolf at the Improv. You know what I mean? Like
it's like we're this special place. I was in this city called Ronda, Spain. This city goes back thousands of years. And we had a professional tour guide, and he's taking us around the city. There ends up being like 42,000 people here. The views out into the mountains of Spain from this hill. You look straight down. We're at a rail. You look straight down. It's like 600 feet straight down this rock cliff, but you're looking out into these valleys. And I looked at this guy. I was like, man, I think you might have the perfect size city. But for maybe Europe, and it felt cool, but I really think we do.
Oh, yeah.
We've got everything. We've literally got everything. And I think, man, this thing's special. And I don't know how we got lucky enough to be here, but it feels neat coming back home.
Yeah.
But we got to do something. Like Northern Kentucky, this is on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got to make this thing something. There's got to be some Northern Kentucky culture.
For sure.
Everything's known as Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's tough to do too, man, because we're at that point where we want to create multiple podcasts, right? We want a 513 podcast, we want an 859 podcast, but it's like, we're right here on the water, and it's like whenever we have to talk about the city, it's always Cincinnati. So it's like we almost need like 859 to be Lexington, so we can gather more of the surrounding stuff.
Is it impossible? Is this thing I'm talking about? It may be. Is it impossible because
I don't
Big
think
Brothers?
so.
Okay.
No, I think with what Ovation's doing down there, or Corporex down there with everything down there in Newport. The bike trail that they have from like Latonia to Covington to Newport to Bellevue to Dayton. Yeah, like that's incredible, man. Like to have that and to have it so close to the city. And that's one of those things, like the levee is really, they've got the best view. You know what I mean? Like Beeline out there, you can grab a cocktail, sit right on the water line and watch the sunset over the city. And have an easy place to park. Like Northern Kentucky's got a lot going for them, for sure.
Somebody's got to do something. Maybe you're the dude.
How's that housing market, man? Has it come down a little?
Damn, man. Why you got to make me talk about real estate, man? Why you got to make me talk about real estate?
Hey, I'm just glad that I'm not the one like been shooting questions all day. You know what I mean? Like I'm usually the one asking questions. So to be on this side of the table, it's like.
So here's what I think about the real estate market, man. It's no different. It's all about people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be ups and downs. Interest rates are going to be high and low. I've been in this game for 18 years now. And there's always a new challenge every day.
Yeah.
And so I see my job and training. We have 100 and something agents now. We're getting ready to even grow massively larger than that and just take over the city.
That's awesome, man.
And but every time I sit down with a client, I could sit down with 3 people today, and the interest rates would impact them differently based on what's going on with their life. They're trying to meet a need. So every time someone buys or sells a home, there's something going on in their life. Every time. Nobody just does it for the hell of it.
Right, always.
It's a big move. It's like, we're having another kid, so we need more space. It's like, hey, unfortunately someone passed away and I'm going to downsize.
Right.
The kids are out now. We had a 2-story. We're going to go to a ranch. I got transferred in my job, so I need to sell. There's just something big that's happening in life every time.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the economy, interest rates, they're going to affect things, but there's still transactions that need to happen because people need to buy and sell. But there have been massive challenges in our business. It was incredible. It's weird. COVID, I don't even know why, man. People maybe were staying home and realized they needed a new house.
Right.
But the housing market was just, we'd have 20 offers within 2 hours on a property.
That's crazy.
It was really happening.
Yeah.
It made our jobs really tough. So because every time there's a home that hits the market, there's 20 people that want it and only one's going to win it.
For sure.
19 people disappointed all the time. So the issue for us was there wasn't enough inventory. Interest rates were at all-time historic lows.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt like money was free. And it was challenging. But I think now it's a different challenge because, man, from March of 2022 until right now, so 10 months,
mm-hmm.
interest rates have gone up 150%.
Wow.
So imagine if you woke up and the levee came to you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, hey, I know we got this lease. It's probably something with some base, with a percentage of sales. It's probably some unique stuff, helping companies grow. But imagine they're like, hey, Jay, we love you, man, but business comes first. Your rent's going up by 150% over the next 12 months.
Right. Yeah. It's game over. It's damaging.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what's happened to affordability of people buying homes.
Wow.
So being in the business, you know how you're like, hey, man, I know what's coming at us. Let me just figure this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do anything about that.
Right.
Like that's literally like this business I'm in, helping people buy homes. It just increased 150% the expense to purchase that same home. That's significant.
Yeah.
Right? It really is. Nobody's making 150% more at their jobs.
Right.
Right? So things have really changed for them. And so it's our job to sit down and problem solve for our clients. Like, hey, what's the reason behind your moving? Do you really want to buy a home versus rent? We're not just traditional salespeople. There's a lot of people in our game that are.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we take the approach with real estate similar to what you're doing with apparel.
For sure.
Right? When I named
awesome.
When I named the brand Pivot, there was a reason behind it.
Right.
Yeah, man. And I think because I just realized, understand, every day in our lives we get up, man, you don't know what's going to come your way.
Right. I mean, you guys are doing great here, man. And it's just what you're saying, how you guys have pivoted. You guys are doing this, which is thinking outside the box, and you've got a team behind you that's, you got to adapt or die. When it comes to this, there's so many different realty companies, and it's like, how do we one up, or how do we get our message across? And it's by having recorded conversations, man. It's what it always falls down to. It's just having a good conversation.
Relationships, right?
Yeah.
And I try to tell people, because always what happens, guys like you and me, it starts with an idea. And then it was really hard. You should have quit. A lot of other people do.
Oh, yeah.
All these moments. But then you keep going. And it has to mean more than just the hat you put on.
For sure.
Right.
For sure. There's a bigger meaning, man. It's like, now it's like, that's the only thing I'm good at. It's like I can definitely do other stuff, but I've got too many people depending on me, and I don't want to let anybody down, because I've created this thing, and I've trimmed all that fat off, and now I've got such a good piece of steak. If I don't eat it, like that's my own fault, right? Because I did all the time and the work and effort to make sure that this piece is ready to go.
Yeah. So I don't know how I found myself here. Oh, you know what it was? It was a professor that I was taking classes at Thomas More. And the professor, I was burnt out at Lids. Just burnt out, dude. And because it just turned into a corporation that didn't have the same meaning for those two guys that started it.
Right.
We were just getting up every day, just, direct deposit, collecting paychecks. It just wasn't as impactful. And so this professor one night says, hey, maybe you should go get your real estate license. So I got my real estate license. But what I found out was I got to help people through these really special moments in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
Right, really plugging in. And then I said, hey, this thing's been really good for my life. Let me help other people have the same thing. But the idea pivot, what's weird is during the pandemic, how many times you heard people like back to the basics and pivot? I mean, have you heard those terms?
Yeah. I back to the basics a lot, yeah.
Right? And then like I go to these conferences and like, man, you got to pivot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've been doing this shit for 18 years. That's why I named the company that.
Right.
Because every day we have to do it. So I don't know. It's just about people, man. I don't think I'd want to do anything else at this point.
Right.
But it feels special. But the grind of business, it's tough, man. I think I hope you find a way as you grow. I hope you find a way to stay connected to the passionate piece.
Appreciate that.
Of what you get to do.
It's gonna be tough to shut this brain off, man, because this brain is very passionate, and it's always working, bro. So it's like, to get me to turn off and to relax is so hard. Like I was saying earlier, man, I'll be in the car with the wife, and all of a sudden something will pop up out of left field, and I'll just start with some random idea, and she'd be like, "Where did that even come from?" Like. But we've done some wild things, man. I've actually I bought an acre of property on the moon. Yeah.
Where's the moon?
Yeah.
You mean the moon?
The moon, yeah.
You knew it was just in here 2 weeks ago?
Who's that?
The Cincinnati astronomer, man, Dean Regas.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we were talking all about it, man. I was sitting here blown away like,
damn.
Man, it was incredible.
I got to watch that episode.
He was awesome. And so listen to the one I was like, hey, man, what's infinity? What is that? I was like, what's the idea, man? Like, where's it end?
Yeah.
And you should listen to it to hear what he says.
Oh,
but it's
wait.
incredible. So the moon.
So I bought an acre of property on the moon. There was this company called Lunar Embassy who this guy like found a loophole in the state of California and bought. He actually like brought all the paperwork down to the state, and they signed off on it. He said that he wanted Pluto, that he wanted Mars, that he wanted the moon. And I guess the stipulation was no person or no business can claim land, but a corporation can. So he created the Lunar Embassy Corporation, and so he was able to claim it.
What's an acre of land going for up there now, man?
It's an art piece. It's an art piece, man. It's not. I tell everybody that, and I never tell them the price, because it's like the price is so cheap, it's ridiculous, right? But the reason why I did it was because I was trying to get the USPS to give me a PO box for the moon and just have it rerouted to my house, and they were like, "We can't do that." I'm like, "Yes, you can. You do it for Santa." It happens. People put Santa on there and North Pole, and that gets sent somewhere. So like I'm just like I bought this little acre of property, and on Google like I put in there my little flag, and it was at the time it was Touch Me Tea's headquarters Interworld.
Hey, didn't George Strait sing a song about this?
I'm not sure.
Oh no, sorry, that was what was that? What's that about the waterfront property in Arizona? Oh, sorry, no, he wasn't talking about the moon.
Oh no, you're good. He stole my lottery tickets when I was 16, though. My 16th birthday, George Strait stole my lottery tickets.
What happened?
We rented the same limo. So the limo company had to drop me off at I think we dropped us off at like Forest Fair Mall or something for an hour or 2 hours when they went to go pick up George Strait and take him to his show. And I had my birthday card still sitting in the limo with the lottery tickets. It was just over by the champagne. It wasn't like sitting on a chair or anything like that. And I came back and the lottery tickets were gone. The birthday card was still there.
All right, so when you're in the car with you and your wife, and you got these crazy thoughts, what music's on? If you're choosing the music, what's on?
If I choose the music, man, I'm a big Kid Cudi fan. Childish Gambino. You know, she's got a better music genre than I do, man. We were just going through our records yesterday, so she's all like REO Speedwagon, Leonard Skinner. You know, she's big on Iration, which is like kind of like a 311. It's across the board, man.
Do you have vinyls? When you said records, vinyls?
Oh yeah.
I can tell you're the vinyl dude.
Yeah, I've got a ton of them, man. And it's funny too because we just bought a new record player, and I'm like, I don't like it.
You know, Phil was just in here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Phil's records?
Dave knows him well. He's a musician, yeah.
That's awesome.
I was out of town, so it was the first one Dave led. He's like, man, I'm going to have him come in and talk. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so do you have a new record player? You're pretty cheap. Can't you buy like a vinyl player cheap?
So I bought one, you know, it's got good bass to it, but the treble's kind of weak. And so I'm like listening to it and I'm like, it's not there. Caitlin's like, I love it. And I'm like, it's not, there's something wrong with it. And it turns out that it was a cheap, I think it's a ceramic needle instead of like, I don't know.
Dave, is he right? Talk about the treble here on the vinyl.
Yeah. What kind of system is it?
It was a Crosley. So it's like not top of the line. I was going for this Victrola one, a Victrola V1.
I think both of them are like the Gilgens of turntables, though.
Yeah.
You spent like $350 maybe.
Yeah.
Nice.
It wasn't the $350 was for the Victrola V1, which I think I'm going to return this one I got and go get the Victrola. It's got like a Bluetooth subwoofer attached to it, so it'll give like more quality sound for the
What
room,
should he do, Mr. Musician Expert over here?
You just don't get any mid-range with it, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of weak.
So I've got a bunch of like super fire old school. You know, I've got an Onkyo
receivers
turntable. I've got all my dad's. I've got my dad's Pioneer from the 70s. I've got his Zenith from the 80s. But they all need a new needle.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, all right, I'll just buy. I wanted to buy like an all-in-one, and it's like it just doesn't have that same quality as that old school needle does.
What would be your music if we were on the car, Dave? What would it be?
Pretty much anything. It was Elvis Costello this morning, but
hey,
it was something
all right.
different yesterday.
Guys, I put on some old Cat Stevens or something. I'm not gonna lie.
Cat Stevens,
Little Wild World. I just remember it from growing up. So
yeah,
my mom raised me, man. I was supposed to be a girl, man.
Oh yeah,
she had my name picked out. Yep, you're sitting here looking at Katie Marie.
Oh no shit, that's hilarious.
Katie Marie's hot.
I don't know what Katie Marie would be. I think all right, man. So I think this gonna be exciting to watch your brand. So it's talk about. So we know it is the. You talked about the virtual store.
Yeah, the virtual the virtualclothingstore.com.
Okay, and then you have the Native brand, right?
Yeah.
So what's that website?
TheNativeBrand.com.
Okay.
Yeah, or on Instagram, actually on all the social media. If you just type in The Native Brand, all one word, will pop up. On the IG, if you go on the link in the bio, you can find the website, the podcast, all the good links.
Let's go to IG. But come down and visit your guys' store, right?
For sure, yeah. Down in Newport on the Levee, we're right inside the gallery building, by where that AMC box office used to be.
Right there on the corner.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a good time, man. Come in and see me. Mention the podcast. We'll give you guys, just mention Pivot. We'll give you guys 10% off your entire order. And I'm ready to do some clothes for you guys, man. We can make some fun stuff happen for sure.
Yeah, on the way out, we'll run downstairs. I'll show you the little swag we have sitting up and say, all right, man, make this better. We have displays and all the stuff. So
dope, bro.
Thanks for coming in, dude.
I appreciate you guys asking me, man. This is it's like I said, it's really nice to be on this side of the table. Usually I'm on that side interviewing people, and it's like I'm the one that's got to have everything set ready in my brain, ready to pull the trigger. So to be able to sit on this side and just lay back and hit the questions back after you ask them is a lot.
You were every time we step away, I tell them, like, guys, because it's about a conversation to me.
For sure.
Right? And when I pull up Rogan or pull up some of these other guys, I'm like, if I'm sitting there for 3 hours, I won't listen to it at the same time.
Right.
But I keep on pulling it back up.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want some interesting conversation to listen to.
Yep, me too. I'm totally cool with 3 hour. I almost like 3 hour podcasts better than the hour podcast because of that exact thing. I like coming back to it and listening to it.
And you can articulate and have some contextual conversations around things.
For sure.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So we won't take any more time, make you go across the other studio, but I'm going to throw out some one hitter, some little hot questions here.
All right, cool.
Cincinnati or Chicago?
Cincinnati.
Why?
You know what? Just growing up here, I grew up in Chicago, man. But when I moved here, big Deion Sanders fan. I had an older brother at the time that was taking me to all the Reds games, and working at Kiss 107, I was able to meet a bunch of the Bengals players. So I'm Bengals over Bears. I'm Reds over Cubs. So it's Cincinnati for me.
A 59-50 or a Richardson?
59-50. Richardsons are pretty nice though, man. You know what? Like that's kind of top of the line. I'll go Richardson.
You will?
Yeah.
Break that Richardson down for me. You don't have to show our logo, but break that hat down for me.
I like the fact that like the 59-50s have the higher top to them, right? And it's more of like a hip hop feel. Richardson has a lot of stuff that's more for like the everyday use. They've got a bunch of different brands, and the dome on that is a lot nicer. Like something like this that sticks up higher. I'm not too much of a fan of. I like the Von Dutch style, the 5-panel hats with no stitch down the middle. That's my go-to.
I think basically a 59-50 is more like a streetwear, right?
Yeah,
it's not as practical. Sure. You're going to go out and look good in it,
and you'll pass out in the summertime with that on.
Man, all that wool.
If it's wool, yeah, man, that you don't realize until you start selling these things that like those 80/20s, they really make sense. And
have the sweat lines that rise up on them and stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Then you wash it, you just break down a 59-50. Man, it's no good if you wash 59.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. A flannel or tie dye?
Right now it's flannel season, bro. I'm in it with flannels. I actually wore this around my waist the other day, like Nirvana. I was just waiting for somebody to say something, dude.
They didn't?
No, not one comment.
Are you that guy walking down the street nobody wants to mess with, man? You got the long hair, you got the patch.
You know what? It's really funny because I'll make eye contact with people that and I get it all the time, and I totally understand, man. Like these kids, they see a pirate and they go, "Mom, there's a pirate," and the mom is like, "Shut up, like you're embarrassing." But it's like I usually carry these little cards in my pocket, which is like like a treasure map, and I just rip them apart, and it's like a real treasure map. It's on like brown burnt paper, and it has like little hidden native codes everywhere to go online to type in a code, and then you'll get like I'll send you some free stickers. But I give it to the kids when they go, "Hey mom, there's a pirate," and then it says, "Shh, I am a pirate, but don't tell anybody." And then it says this is a piece of the treasure map. If you can find the hidden code, you can win something. So like I totally get it, man. It's like I've turned into this character. But the funny thing is walking down the street when like people will look at me and then I'll make eye contact with them, and every single time I get a quick nod like, good to see you, dude. And it's like I caught people staring at me, but it's like it's funny because like I get it, man. People just look at you like, what happened to this dude?
Yeah, they're probably thinking you went to war or something. Which hey, that night you did.
Right? Yeah, for one day.
Truth.
Yeah.
A scooter or a bicycle?
I'm going BMX bike on that. Yeah. Yeah. And I've got an electric skateboard, so that's pretty fire right now. Especially I live in Dayton, Kentucky, so I can take the electric longboard all the way down the flood wall, just make it to the levee right there, bro.
My lady's from old Dayton, Kentucky.
Oh, yeah?
Dayton High School, all that. Yeah.
It's changed now, man.
Oh, man, I trash it so bad from when she was growing up. But she said it was awesome. It was great to be raised there. I'm like, come on, let's be honest.
Right.
It's the same as it is now. But what do you think, Dayton, when you say it's changed? What do you mean by that? It's just it's a little, for people that aren't here, it's a little river city that you can see downtown Cincy, but it's a couple cities in.
Yeah.
From all the stuff.
Yeah, it's just tucked away right between Fort Thomas and Bellevue. But 10 years ago, there was nothing but pajama pants and 14-year-old kids pushing strollers. Now it's young entrepreneurs living down there, starting businesses and stuff, man.
So why is that?
Right by, they're tucked in between Fort Thomas and Bellevue. We're a mile and a half away from downtown. Like there's
affordable store for a storefront or something.
Affordable storefronts, yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot of Galactic Chickens out there. The Tuba Baking Company.
Coda, different. That's in Bellevue actually.
Coda's in Bellevue, yeah. You've got Takira Nogal, which is another taco shop.
Is that good?
It's really good, man. Yeah, it's like super authentic. They spell stuff wrong on Facebook. That's how authentic it is. That's when you know you're getting good food, man, when they spell stuff wrong.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, how do we know?
Yeah.
All right, Italian or Mexican food?
Italian. All day.
Is that just because your mom's Italian?
I grew up on it, man. We had Mexican last night, actually, Rio Grande. But when it comes to food, yeah.
So, what's your favorite Italian dish? Don't tell me spaghetti and meatballs.
So my mom used to make these things called perpats, which is like small meatloafs. It's basically they're meatballs, but before you put them in the sauce. So she makes them herself. She makes the gravy herself, does all that. So like her meatballs are completely different, but before you throw them in the sauce, they're called perpats. So it's like just a small ball of meatloaf, bro. They're the best thing on the planet.
You ever heard that?
Either that or baby pastina. So if you can get an old Italian woman to make you some baby pastina, if you're sick, it's the best stuff on the planet.
Man, I'm thinking people have to go to Phoenix to get the best Italian, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Isn't that where Sammy the Bull and stuff, those guys went? Like all
that's
these
where
mobsters?
everybody. Yeah, bro. That's where everybody goes.
What
man.
the hell, dude? Is it because the weather?
The weather, bro. It's like my mom thought she was gonna have to get knee surgery. She had double hip replacement, and then they recalled her hips, so she had to get new hips in. And when she moved out there, she was having hip issues and knee issues, and she thought she was going to have to get knee surgery. But within living there for 2 months, everything went away, and she's like 10 years younger than she was.
She ever come back, or she's like there all the time?
No, she's there. She's coming in for my birthday next month, but yeah, she's loving it out there.
What number is that going to be?
42, bro.
What do you think about
42.
that? I got 2 years on you.
It's scary, right? Because like I see my family members didn't make it, to 60, and it's like, man, I'm not even close to the majors yet, bro. And it's like my biscuits are burning, man. You know what I mean? I'm close. It's like a sneeze, but I'm ready to get there. It's all about health and happiness in 2023, man. Gonna focus on trying to be a little bit healthier and just stay focused on that longevity.
I was going to ask one more question, but that's a great place to end.
No, ask that last question. Let's go.
California or Florida?
Florida. I like the whack jobs out there, man. So California's cool. Too many people wanting to be somebody else out there. Florida, you get if you're on the East Coast, you'll get all the Atlanta, the East Coast, everything down from north, and then if you're on like the Tampa side, you get like Alabama, you get everybody kind of like from the Midwest. So like you get a good juxtaposition of people down there that aren't trying to be too cool for school. Like everybody's just out there on vacation, bro. So if you can be out there, and if you're a hard worker, you're gonna churn everything to cream real quick.
What's being genuine mean to you?
Looking out after one another. I really feel like you gotta make sure that the company around you is as happy as you are. You know what I mean? Because like I said before, high tide rise all ships, and it's like if you don't have a good crew around you, or if the crew around you isn't happy, like there's gonna be no forward momentum on that. So being genuine is just like staying true to your vision, and then making sure that the people around you have a place to sit at that table too.
What's a favorite place you've traveled to in the world? Can't be the U.S.
Man. So I've only gone to Mexico, man.
Okay, what part of Mexico? Cancun or Cabo or what?
I did Cancun senior year of high school. That was pretty ridiculous. I'll go with that. Yeah.
I'd never been out of I hadn't been out of North America until December when I went to Europe, so I wasn't this world traveler.
Yeah.
So I thought you were going to like impart some.
No, we own an acre, or I'm sorry, we own 10 square feet of property in Ireland. so that we can be officially a lord and lady.
I have a guy who's become a good friend who just became an American citizen last week.
Shit.
He's from London. His wife's from Australia. They have 5 kids that were already citizens, but they weren't because they were born here.
Oh, wow.
And he's got that English accent. But I have another good buddy of mine that through real estate that I met that he's Scottish.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. So Irish, huh? Is it just the heritage? Is that it? Like when your wife wants to go there, what's the pull here?
I think it's everything, man. It's the landscape, it's the accent, I think she just wants to live in the 1800s, bro. Is to be honest with you, like if we could have no electricity, I think she'd be cool with it.
Who's the musician that you remind me of, man? Childers.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's from Eastern Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
And he lived back in the woods without sanitation, without water.
That's the shit.
I'm like, this is our guy right here. Talking about native. That's native, baby.
I'm in, bro.
Thanks for coming in, man. Hey, go see the Native store in Newport. Come check you guys out. I think you might walk into that store, and I really think so. Like, you're going to learn something about yourself.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, and we've got a good crew behind us that are always there to help you out. So if you have any questions, if it's overwhelming, just ask away, man. We'll plug you in.
Thanks, man. I don't know
and then make sure you go walk up to that 7-Up door, man. That's the coolest part there.
Well, now we've told the secret, man. I'm going to start spreading the love. But
yeah,
we'll check out some gear. Thanks, brother.
Awesome, man.
Appreciate
I appreciate you guys being here, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Appreciate you.
All right.